show is on the road, and let me start with Mike, the gentleman who said that, yes, Mike, good morning.
Stop right there. Good morning, my name is Mike. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya, and as always the show is very, very packed for you. Later on in the program, where I will be talking to Catherine Wawero, who is the chairperson of Wase Wazamo, a community-based organization in Harambee Ward here in Nairobi County. We focus on her efforts in uplifting and recognizing trailblazers within her neighborhood. You want to tune into that conversation right about now, Vivian?
Good morning, a very warm welcome to Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for choosing us to begin your morning this beautiful Wednesday morning. Now, today being a Wednesday, I will be having a lady who is doing a great job with what she does, and she will be helping me with a discussion on productivity in the workplace. What do we mean when we talk about productivity in the workplace, and how do you ensure that you enhance your productivity in the workplace? You want to tune in for that later on this show. Right now, Georgina Manyara, good morning.
Well, good morning to you. Glad to have you on board. We have so much in line for you, including what has been making headlines in the last 12 hours. And we encourage you to give us your feedback on X at KBC Channel 1, and my Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara. Currently this morning, the shilling is trading at 150, I think 54. We'll be looking at an update from CBK on a Thursday when they release the weekly report on where we are in as far as matters of inflation, as well as the dollar, or rather the shilling to the dollar. Now we start off with the news where President William Ruto has asked political leaders to stop succession politics and instead concentrate on delivering to the electorate. While in Gilgil, Ruto said it was wrong for leaders to start the 2027 general election campaigns at the expense of development. The president said many Kenyans need to be pulled out of financial ruin, that his administration will stop at nothing to end corruption. He spoke after he officially opened the Gilgil Technical and Vocational College in Nakuru County. According to Ruto, the new education institute will help drive the country's economy through varied platforms, including the digital space.
We have a very well cut out assignment on matters transformation of Kenya, how to create jobs, how to expand our food production, how to ensure that every citizen has access to universal health. Let me ask all leaders that we focus our attention on the delivery of the assignment that was given to us by the people of Kenya, especially leaders in Kenya Kwanza, leaders in UDA. I want to ask them to step down any contestations for whatever positions, present or future, so that we can work together, focus on delivering to the people of Kenya, ensure that we keep our promise to the people of Kenya, so that we can discharge our commitments.
The conversation on Kenyans facing a financial ruin there comes barely a day or 2 days after InfoTrack made its poll public, indicating that 73% of Kenyans are facing either dire or serious financial constraints. Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says he will sustain the fight against illicit brew, drugs and substance abuse in the Mount Kenya region. Speaking at a meeting with Nyandarua County Assembly members at his current residence, the Deputy President said ruthless individuals are profiting from illicit brew at the expense of the youth who have sponsored early campaigns aimed at dimming his political career. Giverson Minor has the details.
Nyandarua County Assembly members have delved into the supremacy battle for the Mount Kenya region's kingship as two factions emerge, one backing Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and another of lawmakers mainly from Murang'a County fronting Kiharu legislator Ndindi Nyoro. In a meeting with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua at his current residence, the MCA said the region recognizes the Deputy President as their leader and will back him to deputize President William Ruto to seek a second term in the 2027 general election.
This succession we have been shown by the previous levels of politics. The Deputy President automatically is becoming the President. What is wrong in our Deputy President becoming the President?
Mambo ya 2027 iko bali. As you equally say, iko bali. We are here to do work.
As he lauded the Nyandarua County Assembly for passing a law on alcohol regulation, DP Gachagua said individuals profiting on illicit brews have sponsored campaigns to dim his political career, to blackmail him, to abandon his agenda against the menace.
Many people are trying to sell me fear that these people who drink and the ones who drink and the ones who sell are very active politically and my political life can come to an end. If that will bring our political career to an end, so be it. I don't think there is any need for any leader to lead a drunken population.
The DP further urged other counties to follow suit in creating laws to root out the persistent problem of illicit brews in the region and the country at large.
Wale wanakunywa pombe wakunywe baada ya kazi, sio badala ya kazi. And they drink the right stuff, isn't it? Na basi kuwe chache, mahoteli kuwe mingi na mabuchiri na maduka na mashule.
This bill is purely to control sale, consumption, distribution of alcohol.
We shall have the deputy county commissioner and the sub-county administrator ensuring they are the ones who will give licenses to bar which will operate. That means the law enforcers will not have any escape to say that they are not involved as it has happened previously.
Giverson Minor, KBC, Channel 1.
Well, tough talk there by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in regard to the mountain and his campaign against illicit brews, saying there, well, if you have to have that drink, well, have the right stuff after work. Now, the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM party leader Raila Odinga, has come to the defense of Suna East Member of Parliament Junaid Mohammed, asserting that he remains a committed member of the party. Speaking in Tana River County, the opposition chief further assured that there is no rebellion among his ranks and that all leaders within the Orange Party will work together ahead of the 2027 polls. So our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim with the details.
ODM leader Raila Odinga has continued to drum up support for the party ahead of this year's grassroots election in the coastal region. The ODM leader has stated that one of his lieutenants, Suna East Member of Parliament Junaid Mohammed, is still a member of the party and plays a critical role as the party's director of campaigns. The opposition chief downplayed the idea of disunity among his ranks and urged his members to work together ahead of the 2027 polls.
Kwa mfano maana wanasema ati Azimio inaenda kusambaratika. Ati Azimio wengine wanaanza mambo si ya vyama vyao, wengine wanaanza kujaribu, kuna utata juu ya kuteua nani ambaye atashika bandera ya ODM na kadhalika. Hayo yote ni wao wenyewe ndio wanataka hayo kuwe na shida katika Azimio.
At the same time, the Azimio leader maintained that the doctrine of separation of powers needs to be upheld to serve the populace.
The meeting between the judiciary and the executive, if it ever told what to take place, should have taken place in Parliament, which would be in this case neutral.
Odinga states that he will announce the way forward in the coming days.
Controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie, his wife Rhoda Maweo, together with 93 other suspects, were yesterday arraigned before the Mombasa Law Courts on 238 counts of manslaughter after nearly 9 months of detention at the Shimolatel Remand Prison. The 95 pleaded not guilty to the accounts that allegedly took place in Shakahola between the year 2019 and 2023. Here's Junaid Karisa as 35 of the 95 are also scheduled to take plea before the Tononoka Children's Court on Thursday on account of assault, torture, cruelty, as well as infringement on basic educational rights.
On Tuesday morning, vehicles ferrying 95 suspects linked to the Shakahola massacre arrived at the Mombasa locals from the Shimolatewa remand prison. After nearly 9 months of police custody, the lot, led by controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie, were arraigned before Chief Magistrate Alex Idhuku for plea. Mackenzie's followers accused of 238 counts of manslaughter that were allegedly conducted within 5 years, charges that they pleaded not guilty to. To date, over 400 bodies have been exhumed from the 800-acre piece of land occupied by Mackenzie, as officials from the government chemist positively identified 40 bodies.
Ama si kweli? Si kweli. Mwenye anakubali mashtaka atainua mkono wake juu. On
Thursday, 35 suspects will be arraigned at the Tononoka Children's Court for several accounts of assault, torture, cruelty, and infringement of basic educational rights.
And then once we confirm that everyone is present, that's when we read the charges, the first count.
The case is set for mentioning on the 13th of February this year. Juni Karisa Mbele from Mombasa County.
Come Thursday, we'll be bringing you up to speed with that particular development. Now, the Apex Court on Tuesday made good its communique by declining to hear Senior Counsel Abd Nasir Abdullahi, who was on January 18th banned from appearing before court. The city lawyer had appeared to represent his client in a 2 billion shilling land case pitting the family of late President Daniel Moi. Now, details of this in the Skills of Justice segment with none other than Ruth Wamboi.
During the virtual hearing, the court led by Chief Justice Martha Koome said they will not proceed with the matter if Ahmed Nasir is part of its defense or if any other gadget belonging to the lawyer follows the proceeding. And in a turn of events, the court adjourned the case, with 6 judges recusing themselves from the matter as long as Ahmed Nasir is on record. The lawyer took to his ex-social media platform to respond to the refusal, saying he is ready to make peace with the court on 2 conditions, and I quote, "I will not take a brief or appear before the Supreme Court as long as CJ Koome, DCJ Muilu, Smoking Wanjala and Njoki are judges of the Supreme Court of Kenya. And 2, I will come back to the court inshallah if and when Justices Ibrahim, Lenaola, Ouko and other new members constitute a majority in the Supreme Court." The letter by the Supreme Court that was served to the lawyer last Thursday has now been adopted as a court order. The Supreme Court barred Ahmed Nasir because he had continued attacks on judges and the judiciary. Ruth Wamboi for Good Morning Kenya.
Police in Nairobi's Langata area raided an outlet believed to be selling bhang and arrested 3 people. According to Sub-County Police Commander Monica Kimani, the illegal business was taking place in a kiosk disguised as an M-Pesa shop. The drug peddlers are said to have been targeting university students within the area for years.
Liberty Center at Karen area in Langata, Nairobi County. Our hidden cameras capture clients arriving at this structure disguised as an M-Pesa shop to purchase bhang. Oblivious of an impending raid, they attempt to purchase the product. A few minutes later, the men in uniform swing into action, ransacking the shop. The raid would yield results as a consignment of the bhang was nabbed and 3 suspects arrested. According to the area OCPD Monica Kimani, young people including students are the main target.
Na haswa upande huu wa Langata sub-county nina universities nyingi sana. So wasia wangu kwa wanafunzi ni kuwa wasiingilie mambo ya madawa. Wasiingilie drug abuse, wafanye ile kazi iliwaleta hapa na ni masomo. Very disturbed kwa ule umati niliona pale, and most of them were against that operation, kumaanisha they are customers, and most of them are youth.
She said that the raid will continue even as the suspects are said to be arraigned in court on Wednesday.
For a person ambaye hana information, you think it's an M-Pesa shop. So mbinu kama hiyo tumeigundua, na namba ambayo imewekwa pale ambayo naamini pia kuna wateja ambao walikuwa wanatumia kuilipia hiyo banki, tutaichunguza na tutajua ni ya nani, na baadaye tutashika yule big fish mwenyewe.
The authorities say the mobile number on display will aid them in investigations. Nancy Okware, Good Morning Kenya.
Residents of Nyahururu town in Laikipia County are living in fear of a spike in crime, with the latest involving a border rider who was severely injured by a gang that robbed him of his motorbike. Tilio Marco reports on our Crime Watch segment.
A rise in cases of robbery with violence in Nyahururu town of Laikipia County has left residents aboard lot. In a recent case, armed robbers attacked a boda rider, severely injuring him and fleeing with his motorbike at Silale village in the outskirts of Nyahururu town.
Askari wetu wanafuata huo uhalifu ambao umekuwa kwa mji na wataturiza huu mji. Tuna imani nao. Hakuna yule atakuja kujificha hapa.
The incident occurred just few days after the killing of a blogger Bobo Jare, alias Bobby, by thieves who raided his workplace.
Huyo kijana aliweza kukutwa na wezi, wakaweza kuzima CCTV, akaweza kuuriwa kwa njia ambayo sio haifai.
Still in Laikipia County, residents of Joguini village in Laikipia East are decrying increased cases of cattle theft in the area. More than 30 heads of cattle have been stolen in the last 2 weeks in the area. The residents urged police to beef up security in the area, saying the thieves are seemingly targeting widows and the vulnerable in the community.
Hii wa kijana wakaenda kutafuta, wakachida mchana moja. Sasa wakakosa, hakuna.
Nikisema kwa hii wizi vile inaibiwa hapa, ni kitu kinatuchanganya sana. Kwa sababu hata security tuna. Kuko na wizi iliibiwa kabla ya wizi ya hii mama ng'ombe yake ibiwa. Hapa police station. Ng'ombe inakuja inaibiwa hapo. Siku kama 3 hivi ndio kwa huyu mama kumekuja kuibiwa ng'ombe. Sasa ndio tumeshindwa. Tuna security na kuko na askari, na lakini hawa askari tuko nayo hakuna kazi wanafanya, kwa sababu kama kuna ibiwa murago yao, sasa ni kitu gani sasa tutasema sisi tuko na security hapa?
Tilio Marco reporting for Good Morning Kenya.
That a crime report brings us to a fast break yet. Do not go away, we'll be right back.
How to access KBC Online services via eCitizen. Step 1. On your web browser, search kbc.ecitizen.go.ke. Step 2. Log in using your eCitizen account or create a new eCitizen account and log in. Step 3. Enter your OTP, which will be sent to you via SMS or email. Step 4. Select Matangazo service. Step 5. Read the service instructions. Step 6. Enter your general details. Step 7. Enter your service details and click complete. Step 8. Submit your application and await feedback from eCitizen. Step 9. Click on pay and your payment will be made automatically via M-Pesa and your service will be delivered. Step 10. You will then receive an invoice to confirm your payment. For any assistance, reach us on email ecitizen@kbc.co.ke. Telephone number +254 20 22 41 896.
Mamako ikifika kesho jioni kabla hajarudi,
Mama Jabali ataanza kuhamia huku for good.
What is he doing there? At he wounded?
Pete is the only person that I trust right now.
Why can't you tell me where you're heading to so that I may catch up with you later?
Hapo kwa kinywaji. Hatuwezi pata mtu delivery? Ni ya maziwa peke yake.
Kwani who is this guy?
You're the one who brought him into our lives.
Hii idea ya kuibia mzae shamba. Si ilikuwa idea yako shwali. Sasa unaniruka.
Kwa hivyo ningezalia mwizi.
Jen, I don't want this man to continue being in my house.
Your house? I didn't know you're back.
Anaweza kuwa nakufa hapa.
Wewe na mtu anakufa na ameshikilia chupa ya pombe.
Baba Jini kuja. Sasa kuingilia kazi ya Mungu.
This is in the headlines on Good Morning Kenya, and I'm Regina Manyera. Glad to have you back. Now, the Ministry of Information and Communication, as well as the digital economy, has committed to digitize the remaining 5,000 government services by end of the year. This is in addition to 12,692 government services that have been fully onboarded onto the e-Citizen platform. The ministry has also committed to fast-track the rollout of the digital superhighway, currently at 8,262 kilometers.
While releasing the government lab report that tracks the ministry's performance, spearheaded by the Ministry of Public Service and Delivery Management, Information, Communication and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo said there's no turning back on the digital agenda.
We have managed to digitalize 12,461 government services which are today available on the e-Citizen platform against a background of a meager 350 services, which was the case when we came into office. We have managed to set up 274 digital hubs for purposes of digital skilling and digital jobs. And then in that regard, we have still managed, again, gone further and trained a whopping 390,000 youth and correspondingly created 119,000 digital jobs.
We want to try and pave the road ahead in a manner that minimizes duplications or conflicts and tries to harness the gains and any synergies, partnerships and collaboration so that we can achieve even more robustly as we move forward.
Owalo said the ministry is fast-tracking the rollout of the digital superhighway, currently at 8,262 kilometers, with the intention to connect schools and hospitals.
This digital superhighway, I think, is not just a commitment or an achievement from your end, but also is very central to the plan. Coming straight from the plan.
Owalo said the government remains focused on the agenda to revitalize the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, Kenya News Agency, and the Government Advertising Agency.
These are organizations that from the very beginning, even when I was being vetted, I did make a commitment that at some point in time, we will want our performance as a ministry to be evaluated on the basis of revitalization of those legacy state corporations.
Since we have agreed that the overall direction of the country is that KBC needs to be a public broadcaster, I don't think you'll be doing justice by then measuring them on the basis of profitability, because you'll be setting mixed signals.
He noted that the removal of 30% requirement on local ownership in the telecoms sector will spur investment, and noted the reduction of mobile termination rates by 0.41%. The country has so far assembled locally 194,000 smartphones with an output of 4,500 daily into the market.
Now, before we bring you up to speed with what was happening in the AFCON games yesterday and what to expect tonight, is that Junior Starlets coach Mildred Charche has named the provisional squad for the upcoming two-legged 2024 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifying match against DR Congo, slated for February. The Junior Starlets will begin the first leg in DR Congo for February 4th, followed by the second leg at home on 11th of the same month. The 30 players called up or will join the camp today. Cheche called up several players who took part in the 2024 FIFA Under-20 qualifiers held last year, where Kenya lost to Cameroon in the third round. The 2022 national football champions were Yeti girls have produced 4 players for the team, with reigning champions Butere having a similar number. All the best to the 30 who've been called up. Now, bringing you up to speed with yesterday's AFCON matches that are played at 10 and 11 respectively. Gambia took on Cameroon, where Cameroon scored 3 goals against 2 for Gambia, winning that particular match. And Guinea took on Senegal there, with Senegal scoring 2 against Guinea's nil goal, that is. So 2-0. in favor of Senegal in that particular match. Mauritania, on the other hand, scored 1 goal against Algeria, winning that match 1-0. Angola scored 2 goals against Burkina Faso that did not manage to get the back of the net. That was yesterday, matches that were played at 10 and 11 respectively there. Actually, it is 8 and 11 there. So tonight at 8 p.m., we are going to have Namibia squaring it out with Mali, while South Africa is going to be taking on Tunisia. Then later on, we'll have at around 11, Zambia taking on Morocco, while Tanzania is going to be squaring it out with DR Congo. Experts, sports analysts, as well as our sports journalists for KBC are going to be doing a thorough analysis during this period to just bring you up to speed with what has been happening, given that KBC is indeed your true sports partner. It is a wrap in as far as news is concerned. Be sure to visit our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. And now I leave in the capable hands of my colleague, Victor Olo, on the other side of the studio, to bring us up to speed with how the traffic situation looks like, and later delve into matters concerning the country, especially within the politics. You know, the dynamics of the politics there now, that it seems that within Mount Kenya region there is a split yet again. Victor.
Absolutely. Yes, Regina, I just want to ask you a question, Regina, before you leave. The AFCON, that is the today's fixtures. Namibia, Mali, your prediction?
Yep.
Namibia, Mali? What's
Namibia, Mali,
yes.
That is at 8. Then South Africa, Tunisia.
Yes,
then
what is the prediction?
Yes, and then Zambia versus Morocco at 11.
Yes.
And Tanzania versus DRC at 11. Yeah.
So what is the prediction, Namibia, Mali?
Come on. Why didn't you ask me yesterday when Senegal was playing, or Gambia, because those were my teams?
South Africa, Tunisia is going to be a mouth-watering match.
Yes, I'll go with Tunisia. I think I've never recovered from the performance that, you know, South Africa gave us way back when they hosted the World Cup. I'm yet to forgive them for losing out on that particular World Cup.
Yes,
so
they gave a good show, their last match. So I think Tunisia and South Africa, the Chipolo Polo.
That's going to be something, yeah?
It's going to be something else. Morocco and Zambia, I picked Morocco.
Okay, do you think Tanzania and DR Congo. I mean, we know where Kenya stands, especially
our
on
brothers
social media when
from
it comes
East
to
Africa,
neighbors.
these what we call siblings rivalry.
Yes.
Tanzania and DR.
Yes.
Congo.
So we can only sit back and just say, may the best one win.
Exactly. Hii ni hujuma.
Well, now you have the timings
right.
there. At 8, we're going to be having Mali and Morocco, Mali and Namibia, South Africa and Tunisia at the same time. Then at 11, we're going to have Zambia versus Morocco, as well as Tanzania versus DRC. Right here. So they keep it right here. Over to you, Victor.
Thank you so much, Regina. Thank you so much for that. Right. But now let's take a look at what we have in the traffic before we get into the debate for today. That is on the viewpoint. Let me start with the traffic before you get into the local newspapers here. If you're still in the house, the traffic situation in the CBD today, not so good, not so good. Let me just start by saying that it's not so good. When you start by coming, let me start with Ngong Road today. Ngong Road is already a mess as you come towards Naivasha Road, joining the Junction Mall, the roundabout there. The lights at the Junction Mall is already a mess, and that is actually extending all the way as you head towards Kingara Road, joining Gitanga Road. So you have to be very, very much patient, or if possible, get an alternative route if you want to get into the CBD or to your destination. That is as far as Ngong Road is concerned. But after that, it's moving pretty fine down to Prestige, and then a bit of some traffic as you come towards Daystar University, or if you like, City Mochi roundabout there, a bit of some traffic. But after that, it's moving, joining Valley Road, and ultimately into the CBD, looking pretty fine. That is what it's like. But you can use the other side of Agwings Kodek. Agwings Kodek is moving pretty fine all the way from Yaya Center. This side looks good. So you can get an alternative route if you are coming off that side of Moringa, coming from Kilimani. You can find your way to Agwings Kodek so that you can offload Ngong Road and find your way into the CBD. Past Yaya Center is moving very well. Past Sheraton down to DOD, thereabout, joining Valley Road. Actually, there is no single spot of traffic. That is what's like right now on Valley Road. And yes, let's talk about the other side of the city, western side of the city now, coming all the way from Kangemi down to ABC Place, past Safaricom, coming to Westlands Shopping Center, all moving fine. Waiyaki Way, let's just say it's 100% moving very good as you come into the CBD. Now that crosses over down to Imaradaima, Mombasa Road, also looking pretty fine. So at Mombasa Road, coming all the way from Lolongo, Kitengela, you have your time to come to the CBD within a record time. Okay, the problem is on Thika Road. I usually say it was a blessing, but now it seems that the situation on Thika Road has something to do that should be investigated. This is never normal. But I usually say that the problem, because look at this. This is the main highway and this is the service lane. All of these ports are red. Both sides, traffic bumper to bumper, because everybody is now trying to get their way past, all the way past Utali Hotel. That is, it's a mess. So motorists using the service lane down, coming all the way to Pangani interchange there, that is where the problem is. So you can see, you can look at that and see where the problem is on Thika Road. This is what we are experiencing here, all right? So if you are using Thika Road, if you can go into the main highway, I am certain and very sure that the traffic there will be moving. Okay, that extends all the way to Kiambu Road, and up to that side of almost the DCI headquarters, bumper to bumper, both sides. That's around Mudaiga Golf Club there. It's not so good, but you have to be very much patient as you come towards Thika Road using Kiambu Road. After that, it's moving, joining Globe Roundabout. Again, today is a mess. This is around Ngara, Fig Tree here. This is where we are today. This place is usually very okay, but today, it seems that it's not so good. Okay, what about Limuru Road? Limuru Road, again, you see that? The construction work happening here around City Park there. But yes, and again, because of the First Parklands Avenue, we have got the other second avenue. So you have to be very much patient as you come towards Forest Road and joining the CBD. All right, naambiwa watu wa Islando Watu Islando, good morning. Yes, this is where we are. Manyanja Road, watu from Islands, good morning. There's nothing much to report about here. Manyanja Road moving pretty fine as you come towards Jogo Road. Jogo Road, a bit of some traffic just after Makadara there. But after that, Jogo Road is okay. Today, yes, Jogo Road, you come to town. Very good. That is as far as Nairobi is concerned. Let's cross over to Kisumu City. Kisumu, good morning. Here we are again. Let me just refresh that, get the, all right, the updated version now. Very good. This is what we have in Kisumu. So far, so good. Nothing much to report about all the way from Kisumu. That is Kakamega Road, moving pretty fine as you come towards Kondele roundabout. And then after that, as you come towards Kisumu town, the CBD itself, it's okay. This is what we have today in the CBD. Kibuye Market. There used to be a very big market here called Kibuye Market. For those who've been there, you understand how Kibuye Market used to be a menace, but that's changed. And now all the traders went to Uhuru Market, the other side of the town. So it looks good. What about heading towards the airport? Looks good. So far, so good. Nothing much to take home at this particular time. Watu wa Kisumu, thank you so much. Let's go and build Kenya. All right. And yeah, finally, let's cross over to Mombasa and see the traffic situation in Mombasa. Watu Mombasa, good morning. You'll have to tell us what Mombasa. There's a new song, Mzabibu. Is it the Mijikenda or is it the Mijikenda or something? Yes, the coastal region. That song, wanasema slaps differently. Okay, all right. Mombasa, not so bad. Again, this is Nyali Road, looking pretty fine. Yeah, Mombasa, good morning. Kongowea Market, a bit of some traffic here because of the market there and the lights and the traffic lights here as we head towards old Malindi Road and Kengeleni there. Around here, there's dog unit headquarters around this place, but after that, is always very much okay. As we head towards the new Nyali Bridge, again, moving pretty fine. So far, so good. And finally, watu wa Likoni Ferry Channel. This is where we are today. As you cross the channel today, this is a situation at the Likoni Ferry. Yes, it's busy, not so busy today. Perhaps somebody should tell us what's happening at the Likoni Ferry. Yeah, and I repeat, did you know that boarding a ferry is free? Nobody pays for fare. Or is it transport? You don't pay for transport. Or is it fare? Yeah, it's free. That is as that's concerned. Thank you so much. That is our traffic. We'll be taking a look at traffic later on in the program. Okay. Okay, let me come and start with the front page of our local dailies here. Let me start with the front page of the People Daily. Okay. This is acting on me today. I'll come back on that. Okay, let me start with the front page of the Standard newspaper here. Just before I introduce my guests. Ruto's warning shot to restless Mount Kenya leaders. That is what you have here on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Ruto's warning shot to restless Mount Kenya leaders. President Ruto has been sucked into the raging squabbles among his lieutenants in central Kenya, warning relentless youth leaders led by MP Ndindi Nyoro who are seeking to upstage Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in Mount Kenya supremacy battles. This is what you have on the front page of the Standard newspaper. And interestingly, Standard has captured it pretty fine. This must be a file photo. We have got Ndindi Nyoro here. We have got President William Ruto and DP Rigathi Gachagua in one photo. So, yes, there we have it. And now he's been sucked into this. Stop it or else. That is the statement from the president. Stop it or else. All right, President Ruto has been sucked into the raging squabbles among his lieutenants in central Kenya, warning restless youthful leaders led by MP Ndindi Nyoro who are seeking to upstage Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in Mount Kenya supremacy battle. That is what is here on the front page of the Standard. And as usual, I usually weigh in the discussion with my guest in studio so that we can just take a look at what's on the front page of our local dailies. This part of our discussion here. Let me start with Wakili Bernard Ngetich, who is an advocate of the High Court, joining us here on set, and Wilson Susion, who is former NAT Secretary General. and CAS. Mwalimu, good morning.
Good morning, Victor.
Good to see you.
Yes, CS.
Good to see you.
Tourism, Wildlife, and Heritage.
Heritage, yes. And Wakili Ngetich, good morning.
Good morning to you, Victor.
Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, let me start with, now that your mic is on, Wakili, let me start with you. Ruto's warning shot to restless Mount Kenya leaders. This has been happening for the past 2.5 weeks or so. What do you make of this headline? Wakili.
Thank you very much. I think what is emerging from the president's conversation yesterday is that a lot of politicking across the country is ongoing. It's not just isolated to Mount Kenya. But I think on this subject, relevant to Mount Kenya, it's important to say that looks like all is not rosy in Mount Kenya. Looks like there is realignment in Mount Kenya. It also looks like the deputy president may need to prepare himself thoroughly ahead of 2027 and more importantly 2032. I say this because the person who is being fronted, Ndindi Nyoro, by a number of members of parliament from Mount Kenya to take on DP Rigathi Gachagua, are members of UDA. These are members of the president's party. These are the members of the president's coalition. It means these are not new issues. These are not issues that have surprised the president. That is to say, therefore, a lot is ongoing in Mount Kenya region, and a lot is going to unfold in the days to come. And I think it's important to mention that from the way these things are happening, and having warned that the deputy president the president may be in the know. I think that the deputy president should prepare himself for a titanic battle ahead of 2027 and 2032. It is not going to be given to him. The presidency is not going to be given to him. In 2022, of course, for Kenya Kwanza Alliance on a silver platter, he needs to be prepared to run. He needs to be prepared to fly. He needs to be prepared to fight for his dear political life.
Yes. All right. Sosion, go ahead.
Yeah, I think people are reading too much about the political activities within Kenya Kwanza and particularly Mount Kenya. People should not read too much. And what the president stated yesterday was providing leadership in the debate. And he stated very clearly that him and the deputy president are mentoring young leaders. And that automatically should put to rest the media speculations and the heated conversation that has been generated through misinformation. Yeah, indeed, Ndindi Nyoro has been fronted as the next kingpin of Mount Kenya by his own friends and allies, and of course out of his own agility and merit of working. I remember I attended this event of launching Elimubore in Kiharu constituency, and he has invested so much in education, and you can see him connecting with the people, and he's able to bring education to affordable levels to all households. And out of that sheer hard work, people started open conversation that here is a young man who is promising to be a president of Kenya in future. Those are just the opinions of the people, but that does not mean it is pitting anybody against Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto remains the father figures of Kenya Kwanza Alliance, and the president stated very clearly that they are mentoring young leaders. So there will be a next generation of leaders after William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. And this group of young politicians, as has been stated by the president, are being mentored. And that should bring the conversations to rest. And people imagining a titanic battle during the transition are merely living in a fool's paradise. Kenya Kwanza will be an orderly entity that will promote internal democracy and build capacity of leaders so that they can merit and win the hearts of Kenyans when time comes. And I don't think we'll be struggling, and I don't think we'll begin from zero. Let the young men accept to be mentored by the senior leaders, and so we do that mentorship. That mentorship be done by the president and the deputy president, and when time comes, there will be surprises to Kenyans, and we'll have an orderly transition.
Yes.
And of course, it is good when we transit a country to a far much younger generation that is strong and energetic, with fresh vision and new global understanding. To me, I see nothing wrong with this conversation.
Of course, there's nothing wrong with that conversation, because it's politics, and it's about politics and realigning and having future projections in as far as politics is concerned. But how is that affecting the deputy president's performance? Or the issue here is 2032 rather. We have got Member of Parliament Ngeno. We have got Senator Nyutu, who is also saying that Rigathi Gachagua and Ndindi Nyoro must go head and head. But the biggest point here is Ndindi Nyoro. So where does this leave the two gentlemen from the mountain? Let me start with you, Wakili.
Thank you, Victor, once again, and viewers. It's important to mention for the second time that when you are the deputy president and you're coming from a populous constituency like the Mount Kenya region, which traditionally influences fundamentally who becomes the president or who becomes what in the political cycle or in this country. A discussion along the lines of having Honorable Ndindi Nyoro from Kiaru to replace the deputy president is not a discussion that comes as off-the-cuff remarks. This is a discussion that has been discussed. This is a discussion that has been reviewed. This is a discussion that has been piloted. This is a discussion that has been fire-tested somewhere. To therefore suggest, and I see Honorable Muriu, who is a senior lawyer and a senior member of UDA, proposing publicly that we have Ndindi Nyoro. This is going to give a lot of impetus to Ndindi Nyoro, who is known publicly to be a very close confidant of the President of the Republic of Kenya, even when he was the Deputy President, and he's been seen severally on social media and even mainstream media, hobnobbing with the President, interacting with the President, even sometimes being driven by the President during Corona. So this is not this is not an idle talk. This is not a talk to just play around with people's psychology. There is so much that is happening, and that is why I said from where I sit, this is a declaration of war in the political cycles in Mount Kenya. And as I've said, this is going to give a lot of V-power to Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. On the contrary, the Deputy President now, who is an intelligent person and who knows where he's come from, knows that he's been taken back to the ground. I am sure he's going to spend a lot of time now in Mount Kenya region and not across the country, trying to check and find out what happened. When did the rain start beating him? Because for this kind of talk to happen, viewers and Victor, this is something that has been discussed and probably, and I want to speculate, because this is political discourse. Maybe the president is aware that this was a discourse which was going to happen, and that is why when the president spoke, and I read the body language, Honorable Soshion might want to disagree with me on this, but I read the body language. The president was amused by this ongoing discussion. And the way he spoke, he struck a reconciliatory tone. He is not as frightened as the deputy president. The president was at ease, and that is why I said the president may be aware. And to conclude this, the deputy president now should know that a warning shot has been fired. I think he better spend a lot of time in Mount Kenya region cementing the ground and trying as much as possible to build consensus, trying as much as possible to bring as many leaders, the senior, the middle, and the young ones to his fold. Otherwise, as I've already indicated, 2027 and specifically 2032, he may not be the expected kingpin of Mount Kenya region, and that would make it very elusive for him to become the presidential candidate of Kenya Kwanza Alliance.
Very well. Let's take a break. When you come back, we're going to circle back. We still have got much more to talk about shortly after this. Stay with us.
if you're there and you have a child possibly who didn't perform as they ought to have performed, both KCPE and KCSE, where I sit as a pastor, I think I had to counsel a few people just to tell them this is not the end of life.
I think it's very important for the parent to try and understand the exact reasons why the child says they do not want the schools. Some reasons may be genuine. Apart from the grades, there are so many other things that you need to work on for you to be able to achieve your full potential in life.
A is not the beginning of life, neither is an E the end of life. Life is an open book, and life is dictated by many factors other than grades.
All right, welcome back. The background, you can see the front page, the People Day. Let me start with that one. Okay. Perhaps we come back, Mwalimu Sosion, if you wanted to come to just talk about the standard, perhaps 1 minute, if you can. Mwalimu Sosion.
Yes.
Yes, the question, let me ask you this question. How important is the debate about Mount Kenya? Now, we also saw Interior CS, indeed, that is Kindiki, saying that you should not be dragged into this debate. So how important is this debate, the Mount Kenya succession politics? How important is it?
Well, I think, as I said, people are reading too much. And it's common knowledge that Mount Kenya is the bedrock of Kenya Kwanza administration. And going into 2027, it will still remain a strong, united base for Kenya Kwanza. And therefore, this extreme discussion and expectation of divisions in Mount Kenya is a discussion being driven merely to try and weaken Kenya Kwanza and create a penetrative avenue for other forces in 2027. But I can say very, very, very clearly, as has been stated by the President, that of course people should concentrate on delivering the manifesto that we prepared for rather than engaging in this debate. So therefore, that debate has been closed within the ranks and files of Kenya Kwanza administration. And it doesn't make any sense to discuss the item any further, because the President of the Republic is William Samoei Ruto, with total support from Mount Kenya. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, with total support from Mount Kenya. And the business now is to deliver on the bottom-up economic transformation agenda to the people of Kenya, and to give a report card to the people of Kenya as we move to 2027, as the President and Deputy President seeks re-election. So 2032 is 9 years away, and within the ecosystem of Kenya Kwanza, as I stated, one big agenda is to mentor young leaders for the future. And that mentorship is being done in an open and democratic manner. And young leaders who would want to be mentored should demonstrate their ability. They should come out and engage. They are not going to be handpicked. Nobody's going. And so there is no generational war between the young generation of leaders in Mount Kenya and that of Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto. Right. So that chapter is closed. And those who want to engage in promoting conflict and putting imaginary war between maybe Ndindi Nyoro and Rigathi Gachagua are living in a fool's paradise, because that does not exist.
I believe it's not.
So we should allow We
Yes.
should allow this transition to happen over time and to happen
But
naturally.
I want to believe there is no
will happen.
conflict. There is no
will
conflict.
happen.
It's all politics.
Leaders come and go, and those who are on stage now cannot be upstaged. They'll finish their business and go, and then the next generation of leaders will automatically, seamlessly assume their roles, and that is what mentorship is all about, to ensure that everything being done is orderly.
Okay. Let's cross over to the front page of the People Daily. How lenders are robbing hustlers. That's on the front page of the People Daily here. How lenders are robbing hustlers. Riders have been pushed to die by suicide, marriages broken, children orphaned, and family property violently taken away by entities exploiting the vulnerabilities of the unemployed to make huge profit through exorbitant charges and hidden claims. I think this is something that a majority of Kenyans have faced. Again, still on the front page, why state agencies are shifting health insurance to private companies. Again, the issue of health insurance here, making it to the front page of the People Daily. And yes, you have pictures of border riders, etc., etc. Supreme Court judges declined to hear Moi case over Ahmed Nasir. Justices make good their order banning top lawyer who they accuse of disparaging them. That is here. And again, nobody wants Junet out of ODM, says Raila. That's there have been speculation that Junet was summoned to appear before a disciplinary committee of ODM to answer to some allegations here and there. So let's wait and see how that will go. How lenders are robbing hustlers. That's quickly on the front page of the People Daily. I'll come back there. Secrets of Ruto Mudavadi deal. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Secrets of Ruto Mudavadi deal. The two gentlemen are here. You can see them. Yes, there you go. Good photo there. You can take a look at that story. It's fleshed there out for you. They say that more than 1 year to the 2022 general election, Musalia Mudavadi was a leading light of the One Kenya Alliance that included Kalonzo Musyoka and Gideon Moi. And beknown to his allies, including Raila Odinga of the opposition Azimio, he was already secretly eyeing a deal with William Ruto. On April 6, 2021, he quietly reserved the name Kenya Kwanza Alliance, the outfit that is today the governing coalition. Interesting read there on page 4 and page 5. I think we just have to leave that at that particular point. But gentlemen, allow me to come back on the front page of the People Daily. Again, Wakili, the deal between, the issue here, how lenders are robbing hustlers. You've heard this quite probably in the corridors of justice, answering so many questions and this. What do you make of this front page? Very quickly, Wakili.
Thank you. I would want to agree with the headline of the People Daily. And so many Kenyans are suffering. So many Kenyans are suffering because ordinarily, for you to get a facility in this country, you need to have a salary, you need to have a savings account in some SACCO, you need to have a savings account in some bank. But as things have turned out, a lot of Kenyans are not very good savers. A lot of Kenyans have nothing to save. So the only other recourse that is available for them is to go and take a facility from Shylocks. And I would want to say this without any fear of contradiction, that we have more Shylocks in these countries than banks and SMEs. We have more Shylocks in this country than SACCOs. These are the people who give facilities at very exorbitant, very illegal, and I would dare say life-threatening rates, where, for example, you're supposed to pay 10% every month for a collection of 10,000 shillings. And the sad thing about this is that Kenyan authorities have not been able to deal with Shylocks who are truly speaking, operating illegally. These Shylocks are criminals. These Shylocks are obtaining money from Kenyans without the benefit of following the procedure of the Banking Act and other provisions of law that regulate the rate of interest. If, for example, you took 10,000 shillings. The way they do their agreements, and I've said that these are people who operate with the blessings of security agencies. They are going to do an agreement where you've taken a loan facility of about 20,000, which is supposed to be refunded within the month. If you do not refund, it will continue to accumulate terrific interest. They are going to accumulate compounded and multiplied interest. And together with this, you are supposed to mortgage, you are supposed to sign away your title deed, you are supposed to sign away your logbook, you are supposed to sign away your documents of ownership of various documents.
As a collateral or security.
As a security, so that at the moment you default, they do not waste time, they don't even go to court, they don't take you to an adjudicator who would adjudicate the dispute. They simply transfer the parcel of land to themselves, and if you are taken 10,000 shillings, you've lost your plot, which is worth 1 million shillings or more. This is where I want to say that Kenyans are suffering because of the shylocking industry, which continues to thrive because the government agencies have refused to crack down on them. And I think it's high time the security agencies, together with Central Bank of Kenya, went down so heavily on these people so that we protect Kenyans. Even as we do that, I think Honorable Soshon may also want to tell us what they have done to the ASLAS fund, because Kenyans are still not able to access a reasonable facility, because I think 500 shillings, 900 shillings, 1,000 shillings may not help Kenyans who want to do plausible businesses. I think this is where the government needs to tell the ASLAS, because they promised ASLAS good money, they promised ASLAS a reasonable facility, accessible facilities for the ordinary person. But what they've gotten is 500 shillings and 900 shillings, which I think may be used to take tea or maybe a good lunch around Kosewe or such places. Thank you.
What do you mean, Wakil? What do you mean? 900 shillings could take me to Pale Komade, and I'll be good to go.
That is what I say.
You can also do business
good for lunch.
Yes.
It's not a facility.
Thank you, right. Well, Mheshimiwa Sosion, perhaps as you come in to debate on this one, perhaps there should be some level of to regularize this kind of entities. I mean, they need to have structures to govern them, just like banks. But you see, Shylocks and all these open lenders are just, doing the things they do with, they have that liberty to do whatever they want because they don't have regulations.
They are Shylocks first because they are not governed by any piece of legislation, whether monetary or central bank rules. Shylocks are individuals who lend money on their own rates, on their own terms, and with negotiated terms with their customers. And Shylock, I don't think is unique to Kenya. It's a global entity, and it's a strong money market that is very unfair, completely unfair to the customers. And we have seen Shylocks in Kenya, they've taken root and they've taken advantage of high interest rates and difficulty to access money in the formal financial institutions, whether they are SACCOs, whether they are banks, or availability of other alternative graded lenders. And the only solution is to ensure that citizens are able to access money for whatever reasons through other alternatives that are not Shylocks. That means we've got to relook at our financial market, the banks. Why are the banks charging huge interest rates at 14%, 19%? Is it not time that this is brought down so that then, instead of people moving into Shylocks, because Shylocks you get any money so quickly, and but then the repayment rates are so abnormal you end up losing property. I saw colleagues who are well grounded financially resorting to Shylocks, and they lost property, and they are poor. They are very poor, because a Shylock will send you to your financial grave. That's a fact for sure, and many Kenyans are victims of the same. The Hustler Fund was brought in to act as an alternative, and the Hustler Fund is growing step by step. It is a fund that is to be grounded through borrowing performances of individuals. So you cannot walk in and begin taking billions of shillings. It's a strong microfinance that's supposed to lend to the people at the bottom. And so if Wakili here thinks 900 shillings can't do anything, 100 shillings will be very important to that poor hustler at that level. If you can borrow that money, 100 shillings, and repay at the end of the day and do what they want to do, that's a better alternative of extricating Kenyans out of the Shylocks. And you see, based on your graduated performance, and if you look at the data on the platform of the Hustler Fund, there are millions of borrowers, there are millions who are repaying, and there are millions who are performing, and they've graduated to high borrowing levels. And those high borrowing levels have actually been opened beginning this year. And I think it is the growth of Hustler Fund is not supposed to be managed mechanically. It must grow systematically and gradually so that it becomes a fund that is sustainable and that it can sustain itself over time, so that by and by Kenyans who are victims of Shylocks can have alternatives of getting money. Rome was not built in a day. We already have an idea. We already have a program. It is working. It is better to have a program than to lament. And so we think by easing the conditions in the financial market and expanding easy sources of funding to Kenyans who want to borrow money is the only way out of freeing them from Shylocks. But you cannot legislate Shylocks. I don't know whether it has been legislated.
All right.
Regulations of managing Shylocks anywhere in the world. Wakili here can tell us. We can benefit from his knowledge whether Shylocks can be legislated and controlled. As far as I know, there are very brutal lenders who cannot be controlled.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay, I have this quote here by Caroline Kennedy. The quote goes, "The bedrock of our democracy is the rule of law, and that means that we have to have an independent judiciary, judges who can make decisions independent of the political winds that are blowing." What do you make of this quote, Wakili?
Thank you, Victor, and the viewers. What the quote has said is, to summarize, the provisions of Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya read together with Article number 160 that in a functioning democracy, and I think Kenya has really tried. Amongst the Committee of Nations, Kenya has made tremendous progress. We are a country that is governed under the Constitution. We are a country where everybody is under the law, where everybody is under the Constitution. To take it to the next level, the quote says that for such a democracy to function efficiently and effectively, every person, every office, every institution ought to pay homage, or to respect the Constitution, or to respect the rule of law.
Yes.
What it means also is that the executive should be able to check against Parliament, check against the judiciary, and in the same vein, the judiciary and Parliament ought to be able, without much ado, organically, to check the executive. It means, therefore, that whenever the executive checks Parliament, Parliament should not be annoyed. Whenever the judiciary checks the executive, those in the executive should not attempt in one way or the other to cut the legs of the judiciary. That is what the quote says, and as I've said, it is a very good summary of what we have in Article 10 of our Constitution on the rule of law, constitutionalism, and separation of powers.
Article 10, quite fundamental. Mwalimu, this quote, "The bedrock of a democracy is the rule of law, and that means that we have to have an independent judiciary, judges who can make decisions independent of the political winds that are blowing."
And I think that quote is very candid. The rule of law, the bedrock of a democracy, is the rule of law. And the rule of law, the interpretation, is the mandate of the judicial systems. And within the judicial system are the judges. Now the question begs, are the judgments being delivered within the law and within the Constitution? It's a challenge, and we know world over the judicial systems are corrupted, and where we know you pay bribes to get judgments one way or the other, it's a common practice, and if that is done, then that is a threat to democracy. It is a threat to the rule of law. It is a threat to governance. So fidelity of judges in the delivery, in exercising their mandate while presiding over matters within their domain is important. So really, we are reminded by that quote that it is not just enough to imagine the independence of the judiciary, but it is more important to deliver judgments that have got 4 strong legs that can stand the test of time, and those which are within law and within the Constitution, short of which will degenerate into anarchy. And within the Kenyan context, we saw the other day the meeting of the 3 arms of government presided over by the president, which by any standards was extremely productive in the sense that I believe the president was able to be appraised on the challenges of the judiciary, and particularly the item of corruption across the 3 arms of government. There is corruption in the judiciary, there is corruption in the executive, there is also corruption in the legislature. And all the 3 arms can be affected. And therefore, looking at the commitment to support the judiciary as one of the key products of the consultation of the top leadership that is putting more funds to hire more judges and a more thorough program that is going to be worked on in 1 month to address issues of corruption is a great step forward by Kenya. And those who have been imagining that when the president of the Supreme Court, the speakers of the National Assembly, and the president meet to consult is a threat to the judiciary, I think are wrong. The Chief Justice will work and meet the president as an independent, with an independent mind. And the president cannot dictate on how the judiciary should run, and he cannot dictate on how parliament run. This institution must collaborate. We are a democracy, and not a growing democracy. We are one of the strongest democracies. And promoting the rule of law and constitutional order and eliminating corruption should be a collaborative effort of the 3 arms. And therefore, even executing and conclusion of matters related to corruption and dealing with them in an effective manner will require a very efficient judiciary. Now the question begs, how do we make our judicial system efficient to deliver justice and to do a job that all of us as Kenyans can say and say, yes, the judiciary has done a good job. A good job will not advertise itself. It will be seen. It will be felt. Even a blind man can touch it and feel it. And that's a big challenge to our judiciary. And therefore, the summit of the leadership of the 3 arms of government is timely. It should be done annually. There must be periodic reviews so that then we minimize conflict, but we promote harmony, collaboration, and support while the entities continue remaining independent the way they work. What is independence? It means being resourced to be able to work effectively, taking decisions not by guidance or instructions of individuals elsewhere, but taking decisions based on the law and based on the Constitution. That's what the independence means. Independence does not mean you move to a corner and you begin doing things the wrong way or the other. No, it is freedom and space to do things, and to do things in the correct manner and in a manner that is acceptable to all.
Most of the lawyers, actually everybody, even from the political circle, said that the meeting between the president and the other arms of government heads was not necessary. So my question is, in as far as we are exercising our democracy and independence as a nation, Wakili, was it necessary? If not, why not? If yes, why was it necessary?
Thank you, Victor and viewers. I want to start by saying that the meeting as held by the heads of the three arms of government was unnecessary. I say this because the meeting came against the backdrop of a president who went on public and announced to the entire republic and the international community that henceforth he will disobey court orders and he would continue to implement whatever projects he wanted to implement, because in his view, those judgments, those orders were issued out of corruption. As we speak today, there is no communication that the Office of the President has communicated to the Judicial Service Commission on the corruption allegations of any judge or judges who are responsible or who made certain decisions. And this is what Article 168 of the Constitution of Kenya says. If there are corruption allegations, you need to take them to the Judicial Service Commission by way of a petition. And this has been settled by the High Court in the case of the DCJ, Honorable Philomena Mwilu, that the first port of call, if there are complaints against a judge, to the Judicial Service Commission. So the president comes out and is breathing fire, and he says he will not obey court orders. The following day, we see the meeting. In the meeting, there is an agreement that we are going to hire additional 25 judges of the High Court. We are going to see 11 judges recruited into the Court of Appeal. This meeting needed not to have happened. What should have happened in the first instance is that the president should have said he made a mistake. He should have given an apology to Kenyans. That as a president, as the commander-in-chief, and as the head of state, he made a mistake because he was annoyed because of the housing fund, the housing levy, which was not coming as expected, and the government relied on this money for liquidity, and as a result of which his programs and the running of the government was being disrupted, and therefore for that reason he made a mistake, and he was apologetic because he's supposed to ensure that we have the rule of law and constitutionalism in this country. Having apologized, he could then now proceed to call a meeting between the head of the judiciary, Parliament and himself, for which they could discuss matters that touch on interdependence of the three organs of government. And we have other organs which are not necessarily in the Constitution. We have we have the Law Society of Kenya, which is now the fourth organ in the manner in which it is checking government, in the manner in which it is supporting government. We have the fourth estate, which has also done a very good job in the last couple of years. So from where I sit, Victor, there was nothing new that came out of that meeting. You don't do a favor by giving the judiciary additional money. And I want to challenge Honorable Sossion. The best practices internationally is that the judiciary is given about 2.5% of the national budget. In Kenya, we give it less than 1%. Like in the current financial year, the judiciary has been given about 23 billion against 3.7 trillion. You look at Nairobi, for example, in terms of courts, we have one chief magistrate civil court in Milimani against 17 constituencies, a population of about 8 million people. You can't expect the wheels of justice to move. They can't move, and as we speak today, Milimani law courts, chief magistrate, civil registry, civil courts are not moving at all, because we have a situation where we have a gridlock of cases because we have less human capacity, we do not have sufficient infrastructure, we have insufficient technology, and I think this is where the executive and legislature want, so that every time they push, every time they want to intimidate the judiciary, because it is certainly the way, in the manner it has been ordered, it has been made to look like the lesser organ, which is contrary to what Article 48 of the Constitution of Kenya envisages. To return an answer to your question, therefore, that meeting was not necessary, and it did not achieve much for the purposes of ensuring that we have access to justice and corruption is fought. In fact, the way to move should have been, how do we empower the Judicial Service Commission to deal with complaints before it, which have been there for 5 years, for 10 years. How do we empower the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission? How does National Intelligence Service help to flag out corrupt people? And there are very corrupt people in this country now who are putting up buildings worth billions of money, millions of money. They are not within the judiciary alone. They are in the executive, they are in the legislature, they are out there, they are contractors. Thank you.
How is our democracy being tested in this situation? Walimu Sossion.
But before answering the question on democracy and whether it was necessary, I think I stated clearly that it was necessary. For advancement of governance, there must be consultations. We cannot operate in closed, separate chambers and assume that we'll achieve much. And the item of corruption was from what is reported was one of the biggest items of discussion among the three arms of government, which to me is a great step forward, and therefore that meeting was necessary, and it's going to help in strengthening the delivery of justice, the operation of the judiciary, and also collaborative efforts to eliminate corruption and bring it maybe to zero in this country. So the meeting was necessary. Why can't people meet? Why? If people can meet and advance the interest of the people, so be it. And we people are appointed or elected to offices so that they can collaborate and meet. The minimum threshold of funding institutions like the judicial service have been challenged by the learned friend here, but I've been in the lobbying space for a long time. We are in a country of limited resources, and lobbying is, in fact, our constitution is a constitution that allows you to lobby. You don't lobby, you don't get. And you don't go to the table, you don't get. It's not provided automatically. And therefore, there must be room for engagement. One of the forum of the engagement was that one, so that then the three arms can consult and know what to do. Money will be appropriated to the judiciary by parliament, and that authority will come through the executive. And so to me, that meeting was timely, and it should have been done. It should be periodic and so frequent.
It was one of a kind. It has never happened.
In terms of democracy,
Just a minute, Mwalimu Sosion. Don't drop this off. It's never happened before. It's one of a kind. And in this case, it was called by the Chief Justice. Just out of curiosity, and as you connect with the democracy, was it a way to bring the three arms of government to work together to fight corruption?
In a country where we want to promote competent leadership, transparency, and boldness to engage, I think the request by the Chief Justice was good enough, and the President was very open, and the President convened the meeting. And so this was an initiative of the President of the Supreme Court. It was a proposal from the President herself. And so the President of the Republic, who is the head of the executive arm of government, found it also necessary to have such a meeting. And as you have seen, the demeanor of the President of the Republic is working with everybody and everyone and engaging in conversations with all groups, whether it's opposition, and whether it's the judiciary, whether it's the legislature, because we must have an orderly country, a country free from fear, and a country and institutions that are independent and institutions that are accountable to the people of Kenya. We must accept to be accountable to the people of Kenya. And therefore, the meeting is part of promotion of accountability, particularly in enhancing the rule of law and rooting out corruption within the ranks and file. And my learned friend here, it is foolhardy for anybody to go to the media and cheat and say, yes, if you have evidence, you bring. Yes, there's a lot of evidences about people who are corrupt, judges who are corrupt, individuals who are corrupt, maybe within the executive and within the legislature. All of them must go. They must be swept. If we want to run a country that is prosperous in itself. And the 1 month timeline, and with a team that is working on these particular issues, born out of that consultation, is a step in the right direction. To me, that is a major product. And as to your question on our democracy, we have grown our democracy as a country in our own innovative ways and in a manner that fits the interest of the people and in a way that we really think it should.
Okay.
Who could think?
Allow me to take a break.
Who could think that one day the president of the Supreme Court can nullify elections and you force a country to peacefully go back
let's take a break.
and conduct
just hold that thought.
Elections. I think we are on the right path in growing a true democracy that is unique to Kenya.
I'll come back to you.
Yes.
I'll come back to you. Just hold that thought. You know, you're a teacher, and I have to give you, there's something called tea break. I have to give you Let's take a break. We'll be right back with the Mwalimu Wilson Sossion and Wakili Getich. Stay with us. I have to serve them tea, literally. Tea break.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is one thing we can always count on: the power of compassion and generosity. Every day, families in Kenya face unimaginable challenges and hardships. They struggle to put food on the table, provide shelter for their loved ones, and access basic health care. But today, you have the power to make a difference. By just contributing 1 shilling and 50 cents from your airtime, your generosity can provide access to sanitary pads, nutritious food, clean water, education, and life-saving medical care to those who need it most. To support this cause, please tune in to your favorite radio station under the KBC umbrella for step-by-step instructions on how to subscribe. KBC Helping Hands. Together, we can make a difference and bring hope to those in need.
Ewe mwadha, wajua mambo ambayo binadamu anapaswa kuyatekeleza ili aweze kujikurubisha na Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Watafuta radhi za Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, zitafute kwa wazazi wako wawili. Waitafuta janna ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, itafute kwa wazazi.
Right, so I have my cup of tea. Mwalimu Sossion, are you happy now?
Yeah, extremely happy.
Yeah. You have your, good, even Wakili. So please, Wakili, don't sue me.
No, you're very safe now.
Tasty coffee.
I'm safe.
It is a tasty
safe.
coffee. And
yes.
We are told Kenyan coffee is the most tasty.
It's very tasty.
It's highly priced in the market. And
yes.
With the new strategy of guaranteed minimum returns and protecting farmers. Coffee farmers are the beneficiaries because our coffee will be selling highly in the global market.
So
but back to the item on democracy. You know, democracy, we've all types of democracy all over the world.
Yes.
And the evolution of democratic practices vary from country to country. And those of us who have traveled the world over, I'm widely traveled myself, and you can see indicators of good democratic practices in any jurisdiction that you visit. Kenya is one of the most democratic nations that we have in the world, and better than many developed countries in the West in terms of practicing its own democracy. And the president has been, of late, has been talking about competent leadership, conflict of interest, and corruption as the key impediments of development of a country. In a democratic ecosystem, how do we deal with such? How do you mobilize citizens to understand these certain salient aspects and ensure that as a country now, where we are as a country, because we already have the democratic structures, we have allowed an independent judiciary to exist, we have allowed, we have an independent parliament and an executive that is able to facilitate. How then do we nurture competent leadership across board, and so that all institutions are just but a mark of competency and quality? When we get down to schools, it's the same things. It's competence and quality. And if we are able to, that is now what we need in this democratic space, so that then we ensure that we have competent leadership right across board. The men and women that we elect to represent us, what is a level of competency and ability, and should be absolutely selfless. When it is selfless, we'll have a culture of interest of the nation and that of the people, and that is when we'll eliminate what we call conflict of interest. And indeed, we must all agree we get rid of corruption.
Absolutely.
The day we'll kick corruption out of the country, remove conflict of interest in offices, and promote competent leadership, this country will prosper very greatly.
Thank you.
This is a potential economy. Other than being a strong democratic country, it is also a strategic country in terms of economic investment. And if you look at the global data now, Kenya is ranked as #1 country of foreign investment within the continent of Africa, and strategic in terms of communication. It's the fastest growing economy. And with the implementation of the free visa, I've had time in golf courses to play with golf tourists from Africa and from outside Africa, and they're excited to come to Kenya just to play golf and go back. We must open our country to be an exciting country for any citizen from anywhere in the world to visit, and therefore democracy is an incubator of economic prosperity and fulfillment of the people. And I agree with the president with three things. We must have competent leadership in all institutions of public institution or even private. Number two, we must remove conflict of interest in all our public institutions.
Absolutely.
And we must fight corruption.
All right. Thank you so much.
That is when we'll fulfill ourselves as a true democratic and prosperous nation.
All right. When you talk about our democracy, Wakili, look at the independence of all the institutions that we have in the country. But there is one person, let me just call that person the third arm, the fourth arm of government, and the most important one. This is the Wanjiku. So how independent is Wanjiku in as far as we have got parliament, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary? But now, the big boss here, who is the chief beneficiary of all this democratic space that we are enjoying, is the Mwananchi. So how is Mwananchi enjoying the democratic space together with the three arms of government?
Thank you very much, Victor, and the viewers. The expectation of our constitution, the expectation of the rule of law and constitutionalism that we enjoy as a country was that the common person, the Wanjiku as traditionally referred to, is the person who is benefiting, is the person who is reaping the benefits of our democratization, of our independence, of our institutions, of functioning institutions which are effective and which are efficient. On the contrary, the major beneficiaries in this country today of the independence, of the constitution, of the democracy that we have are the big people. we're talking about the members of parliament, we're talking about cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries, we are talking about judicial officers. These are people who are very good medical covers. I know Honorable Sosion is yet to get a medical cover because his ascendancy to Chief Administrative Secretary was interrupted by a court order.
Who told you?
Maybe we'll get one. Maybe we'll get one if he succeeds in the Court of Appeal. So the major beneficiaries of governance in this country that we have worked so hard for are the big boys, are the big girls. The common person that we are talking about today has got nothing. Look, for example, at the hospitals that we have as a country. If you went today to a county referral hospital, you might get one nurse, you might get a doctor, you might get a prescription, but there shall be no drugs. If you went today to court, if you have a case in court in Kenya, for example, a corruption case, it might take you 10 years. Going to court, the magistrate is attending a seminar, the magistrate is attending a colloquium, the magistrate is attending some training somewhere. A case takes 10 years before you are acquitted. If you have a matter in the police station, you want to go and report an accident, the police person who is seated at the reporting desk will want some chai, some 500 shillings, some 200 shillings, so as to report that you have suffered an accident. If you went to the lands officers and you want to conduct a search, it will take you at least a month. If you facilitate with some 500 shillings, and the lands officers are very expensive. If you have some 500 shillings or 1,000, you might get it within 2 weeks where we've not digitized. I want to return an answer to your question by saying, Victor and viewers, that the beneficiaries of the constitution that we have, of the independence that we have as a country, are not the common people. It is the big boys, it is the big girls who have very good medical covers, they have very good insurance covers, they have very good mortgages, very good salaries, and of course they have very good security. I don't know if Mr. Sosion here, Honorable Sosion here, already got security, but the beneficiaries are the big boys and girls in this country. The ordinary people, the tea farmer, is yet to benefit from any reforms that this government has put in place. The tea prices remain as they are. We only benefited from the weakening of the shilling because we sell tea in dollars. The coffee farmer is not celebrating. The maize farmer who got some subsidized fertilizer did not benefit from protected prices, from controlled prices by the government. So the influence of government, whether it is the judiciary, whether it's parliament, whether it is the executive, is yet to reach the common person. And that is why people are struggling in hospitals, our people are struggling in the police stations, in courts, across the board. Thank you.
All right. So I'm about to finalize this one, but today, Mwalimu Sosion, you allow me to break the rule a bit and just bend it. Wakili here, allow me to ask this question. You are vying for a position of president of the LSK, right?
Yes, sir, Victor.
If I got it right. How many are you right now?
We're running for the position of president of the Law Society of Kenya, and we are 5. We have 3 ladies and 2 gentlemen.
All right. So allow me together with Sosion here, to ask you a few questions. Sosion, perhaps if you have a question for him, but I'll start. What is your vision for LSK? Simple.
Thank you very much. I envision a Law Society of Kenya where the senior lawyers, the middle bar lawyers, the junior lawyers would come together once again, speak to each other, and ensure that the aspirations of the Law Society of Kenya and Section 4, that is the corporate aspirations and individual aspirations of lawyers, can be met in this country. I have a vision for mentorship and welfare, a vision for accountability, checked institutions, and expanded, efficient, and effective opportunities for all lawyers in this country. And to a bigger extent also, we want to support Kenyans. We want to support the government on advising them on matters of legislation and help Kenyans to ensure that we have a democracy that is functioning well and that respects the rule of law and constitutionalism.
LSK is one of the biggest institutions in our country, and it plays a very pivotal role in dispensation of law to everybody. Allow me to ask this question. The issue of defiance of court orders, how will you fight together with the lawyers across the country, make sure that court orders are not defied?
Thank you very much. Defiance of court orders is the biggest threat. It's actually an existential threat to the functioning of a democracy and even the lives of the people of Kenya. If elected as the president of the Law Society of Kenya, we will not tire in encouraging the judiciary to remain bold, to remain very firm, and to issue orders to make decisions based on Article 160 of the Constitution. They should only be subject to the Constitution and the law. And where such orders have been issued, everybody in the executive, in the judiciary, in the legislature, should obey those orders. If these orders are not obeyed, Victor and the viewers, it will be the responsibility of the Law Society of Kenya, led by the president, who would be Kipkoech Bernard Ngetich, to ensure that we call out government, to ensure that we call out any institution that is defying this. And we shall not just do demonstrations as we've done. We've done demonstrations in Nairobi and Mombasa and all over. We may also be forced as lawyers to consider abandoning some of the briefs that we do for free for the state, that we do for free for some people in the Republic of Kenya.
Mwalimu Sossion, if you have a question or two for him.
Before I ask him one question, I think there are issues that he raised, and I think the Law Society and the legal fraternity should also be alive to the aspirations of the people of Kenya and what government is doing through its own manifesto. The biggest problem that we have in Kenya is state capture, the capture of the economy, and the cartels who are involved are protected through courts, and they cannot go to courts alone. They are assisted by lawyers, and so lawyers become accomplices of protection of cartels, and that's a big challenge. I know it goes with economic benefits and in the name of the rights of everyone. You see, when we are talking about universal health coverage in this country, it means we are going to get rid of the super covers that him and me and others can access. And the rest of the Kenyans, the poor household in Kibera, the poor household in the village, that household with a patient suffering from cancer who have to sell land must be covered one way or the other. And that is why within the pillar of Kenya Kwanza, the rollout of universal health coverage must be done now. And it was a mistake for the judiciary to rule against the rollout. It was a big mistake, and that's where the president said, no, the judiciary can't stop me. And you see, the judiciary exists to assist the president to roll out what he intends to do in a legal manner, but not to obstruct. So I think those three things, the universal health coverage is being rolled out, is for everyone. In the fullness of time, it shall be seen, we shall all be equal, and several other programs. But then I should ask my brother here two things, two questions. As the president of the Law Society of Kenya, what will be your biggest contribution in fighting off cartels within the economy and ensuring that the country is freed from capture, the cartels in the coffee sector, tea sector, and all aspects, the sugarcane sector, you know, so that we give our people freedom to enjoy their economic prosperity. That is number one. Number two, we have seen the current president is politically biased and is an appendage and a puppet of he was a puppet of the handshake regime, and he has continued being a puppet of Azimio. How are you going to bring integrity to that office so that what you execute as the president is about the rule of law, but not being misused in political frontiers to fight political fights?
Very good. Ngetich?
Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much, Honorable Sossion. I want to state here and now that the Law Society of Kenya is neither a department of government, nor is it an arm of the opposition. That is to say, therefore, when you look at Section 4 of the Law Society of Kenya, the Law Society of Kenya has a responsibility to advise government on matters of legislation and matters of governance. It also has a responsibility to ensure that as a country, we are subservient to constitutionalism and the rule of law, and everybody is under the law. To answer the questions posed to me by Honorable Sosion, I want to state here specifically that if I became the president of the Law Society of Kenya, and I have 9 years experience in leadership of LSK, 4 years at the National Council, and 5 years as a branch official, whereof I've been a chairperson for 2 years. On the issue of state capture, our responsibility as the Law Society of Kenya would be to challenge the government to ensure that we have efficient and effective structures. For example, we need to build the capacity of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, build the capacity of Parliament, build the capacity of the judiciary. And I am one person who've already said, if I'm elected as a president, I want to sit down with members of Parliament, sit down with governors, and increase the number of courts and magistrates and prosecutors and state council. Because as it is as a country, we have 142 magistrate courts against 290 constituencies. I've given Nairobi, for example, which has one court in Milimani Chief Magistrate Civil Court, which deals with civil matters across 17 constituencies in Nairobi County. So we would want to champion, as a Law Society of Kenya, if I'm elected as a president, for building of capacity of various institutions so that they're able to deal efficiently, effectively, and within the shortest time possible with what you're calling state capture, which is the same as conflicts of interest and institutionalized corruption. Number two, you asked me the question, how would I deal with integrity? For the 9 years that I have served as a leader in the branch, LSK Rift Valley branch, 4 years in the National Council, I have never been associated with any political formation. If I came in, I would not be an appendage of the government. I would not be an appendage of Azimio or any other interest, whether they are external, whether they are internal, or wherever they would be. What I would do as the president of the Law Society of Kenya is to continuously advise government on what the law says, what the law states. We also need to engage government to give employment to various young lawyers in this country to do parastatals, where the distribution of legal services has been skewed in favor of a few people or a pocket of actually colleagues in the profession. We need to engage government so that this is expanded. At the same time, we also need to engage other stakeholders like the opposition on how to better constitutionalism and the rule of law. So to return an answer to your second question, I would be a president who is apolitical, a president who engages objectively, a president who listens, and a president who dialogues where necessary. And where dialogues fails, of course, we have implements and instruments under Section 4 of the Law Society of Kenya Act. Thank you.
All right. That's it for today. That's how we wrap it up. William Sosen, were you answered?
Yeah, I think he has answered according to his own conscience.
Yes.
As to whether that will be done.
As a teacher, how would you mark him?
That is a test.
Out of 10.
and Association was my father's student at Tenwek, so I hope he's going to be. I hope he's going to be very fair.
So history repeats itself.
Yes.
Okay.
You studied at Tenwek?
My father taught you at Tenwek High School.
That is your father.
Elijah Kipmetich Langat.
It's a small world, eh?
Yes.
It's a small world.
It's a small world. So it's the son of a teacher. You
so
see?
As a teacher, how would you grade him? How would you grade him? Out of 10?
No, as a teacher, I think I will be very unfair because there are other candidates also of the LSK, and
so
I would like, in the spirit of justice, I would wish him well, together with the others. Let the others also explain themselves, and maybe we have a contest, a media contest of all these contestants, so that the Kenyans, other than the lawyers, will be voting.
Yes.
But it is in the interest of Kenyans to know how LSK is, what each candidate is coming with on the table, so that we can also understand the LSK.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you so much. That's what we had time for. We've had a very good time, 1.5 hours, with Bernard Ngatich, who is an advocate of the High Court, as well as Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, former NAT Secretary General, and CAS. I'm still waiting for that invitation to your office, by the way.
No, welcome.
I'm still waiting for that.
Welcome one time. Welcome when I do it.
Which floor?
I'm saying welcome when I do it.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Victor.
And underline the word when.
When. Okay. We'll take a break. Good Morning Kenya still continues after this. Stay with us.
you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
I do not understand why you young girls like bad boys.
Well, my dad was a bad boy.
By the time I'm leaving for Uganda, you'll be a totally different woman. Why don't you take a walk for a minute?
Are you being serious right now?
Millicent, are you stalking us?
Maswali gani hizo unaniuliza? Mr. Kaikara.
No. Sit, darling.
Julian, where's Georges today? He's at the office. But not to meet clients. Wakana mtoi wake. Georgie anataka aje na Stacy. He needs your permission to go and see his own daughter. There are protocols to be observed.
This Gasheri girl is becoming a pain in the back.
Shouldn't be a pain for long, don't worry.
Habari njema kutoka redio yako pendwa ya Ingo FM kwa wakazi na mashabiki wa Bungoma. Sasa Ingo FM inasikika Ingo Bungoma kupitia masafa ya 103.5 FM. Sikiliza na uchangie, burudika ukifurahia uhondo wa kipekee kwa lugha ya nyumbani.
Awamu ya Baragawi CC, Natural Sweetness.
Kadhalika, tegea Ingo FM ukiwa maeneo ya Kakamega, Busia, Vihiga na Trans Nzoia kupitia 101.5 FM.
Isinkoli umwana wa kwendo mkhana wa imoni dala nombo nyara kunanga KK.
Ingo FM, ininginingi ye Muitala.
And we are back. Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Megwe, and now we move to the next segment, which is Women at the Forefront. And today we are looking at one lady who is making an impact in her community, and she's already in studio, and her name is Catherine Wawero, who is the chairperson of Wase Wazamo, which is a CBO, which is a CBO from Jericho here within Nairobi. Karibu to the studio.
Thank you, Mike.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yes.
I'm great this morning.
Yes. Now, to start off, maybe you tell a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay. I'm Catherine Jerry Wawero, a mother, semi-retired, financial advisor.
Yes.
I worked in the banks. So currently I'm consulting on financial services. Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Now, you are also, you do work that inspires people. What inspires you to deal with people and give them hope that they can make it?
Okay. Maybe I can go back historically. I grew up in Jericho, in a community.
Yes.
And we were brought together by the fact that we were very close to each other. In our homes, our houses were very close. So when you'd step out into your neighbor's compound. You really had to interact. And so things like when we were growing up, we had one TV station, one TV in a neighborhood of about 20-30 houses.
Wow.
But you'd find that we would be invited to go and watch that TV.
Yes.
So you want to also just, so that you don't talk about Three Stooges then.
Yes.
just by yourself. You want everybody to share in what you are watching. So we shared a lot of things then. And we didn't feel left out. We didn't feel like there was a class. There were people who were better than us. So that inspires me to also just continue with that spirit where people don't feel left out, like there is a class. These are the Barbies, or these are the who have it, and they have and they have not.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's about creating an environment where everybody can feel appreciated.
Yes.
And feel that they can be anything they want to be.
Yes.
Now, I'd love to know, how did the idea of Wasewazamo come about? Because you are looking to inspire the next generation of trailblazers using the already existing trailblazers, especially from within your ward.
Okay. It's a long story. It's a long history.
I'd love to know
we would meet before, maybe one of us has lost a parent from the group we grew up in. And after that, we'd go and socialize, and would sit around, drink, make merry, be happy, just talk about the past and what we used to do, reminisce about our past. And at the end of it all, we would walk away having drunk, having eaten, and nothing, and even talk about how things are now not working where we grew up. And you walk away and you go back to your house. You meet again maybe in another occasion. You've been invited or somebody has passed on. So we really thought maybe we need to get together as a group, formalize kind of what we are doing. So we started a social group. It actually first started as a social group. It was called Wasewazamo Mtaani. So we formed, and we had people like Vincent Shimoli, Henry Kalinga, who we actually up to today call them admins of the group. Then after that, we again said, okay, so now we are talking a lot of things and talking, sharing, calling food kalongo, the things we used to call them when we were growing up.
The sheng at the time.
The sheng at the time. We actually, our sheng is pathetic compared to the sheng we have it now. But it was the
sheng
in
you could
thing
master then.
Yeah.
So I think it changes with time, but continue.
Yes. So we thought, okay, so how do we give back? That's when we thought we can formalize it. We formed the Wasewazamo CBO. We came up with a constitution. I actually participated I was right from in its formative stage. We had an interim committee that went to the actual executive committee after we registered the CBO. We went, registered, came up with a constitution. So we can say the CBO has a rule book. And we even have bylaws that guide us what we do as a CBO. But we still maintain the bigger Wasewazamo forum, the social group, where you can say anything as long as it's not abusive. But yeah, that is how we came about to be. So in 2016, we registered, and we have had, I was in the first executive committee. You served for 2 years, 2 terms. So we had our first chairman. In the interim, we had Robert Wayaya, who is now in the county government in the public service sector. Then we had Morrison Wayaya as our second chairman. Then we had our third chairman, Patrick Rugo. He's he's a lawyer. And then now me. I served in the first executive committee as a vice chairman. Now I'm the chairman. Yeah.
Now, one of the things about being a trailblazer is overcoming a challenge and impacting the society in a positive way. What criteria do you use to identify someone that they are a trailblazer and they have done something that has impacted the society that you live within? What is the criteria that you go about?
Okay, I don't know whether we are at the place of the Jericho Hall of Fame right now or just being a trailblazer.
Being a trailblazer.
It's how you stand out, first of all, in the community and in the country as a whole, even internationally as a person, what you have achieved, where are you? What is your status currently in the community and in the country, and even how are people seeing you? How do people see you? Are you an achiever? Have you achieved? Can we say you have done ABCD? Have you, can we write something we can write home about you, you as a person? Can we name 1 or 2 or 3 things that you have done, which everybody will say is an achievement? So we look at that, and we have quite a number of them. Actually, we have very many. We have a very long list. If we were to read to you the list, you'd actually be shocked on the list that we have in our hands today.
And in your efforts of recognizing these trailblazers, is there a way that you engage the public, like the community within which that you are looking to inspire people?
Okay, maybe then I can introduce what we have. We are creating a platform. We have created one called Jericho Hall of Fame. And this, we know other Hall of Fames are specific to sports, to movie stars. So what we can say about us is we have called it Jericho Hall of Fame just to recognize our trailblazers and our mtaa legends. So that is where we now call on the community. And we are based mostly, we work from Harambee Ward. So we call out on social media platforms, WhatsApp groups, for people to nominate and tell us who they think the trailblazers are or the mtaa achievers are.
Besides the notable names that the group has already recognized, are there people within the community, somebody like a regular person when so far you've recognized so far, and what has he or she done so far that inspires the next generation? Because we are looking at an instance where people, especially the youth, are looking for someone to look up to in terms of, let's say, all spheres of life.
Yeah, we have one. I can say there's a gentleman called Mike Nyangi, who works with the men who have been affected or infected with HIV, and we have seen him do a marvelous job on that. We also have educationists, we have teachers, we have people in the health, like our first edition, we had a doctor or a clinical officer who has treated most of us as we were growing up. I think all of us, he was serving at Jericho Health Center.
Yes.
So he's also been recognized. We have quite a number of people who, they might not make the cut, but have impacted the community, and we do recognize them in other ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, how does this recognition now impact the society, especially from the area within which you come from? How does it help in creating a positive image of people, especially the youth? How does it help in creating a positive image, especially on the youth?
What I can say is, first of all, it inspires them in that these people walked the same route that I am walking, the same steps, maybe went to the same schools that I'm going to, and they made it in the same neighborhood. Nothing has changed. So you can tell them you can walk on the same steps and be an achiever. Just do whatever it is you do, but work hard. Because most of us, it's just trying to make ourselves better, live better, move up, in society, because everybody wants to be that other person. So it inspires them to see that this person started where I am. And I can be.
Yes. And in an era where drug abuse, the effects of drug abuse are rampant, this goes a long way in making sure that people have hope. So the idea of Wase Wazamo, is giving hope part of what you do?
Exactly that. It's giving hope. And like you're saying, it's not just our old neighborhood that has those challenges of drug abuse and alcoholism. You find that it's actually countrywide. But we have come, as Wase Wazamo, and it's important to know that we are not Wase, we are Wase, meaning we are members. It's a group, it's a kind of peers, it's a peer thing. It's a peer thing. So we might be old, but we don't consider ourselves to be old.
Young at heart.
We have partnered with one of us twice. We've done what we call Zoezi Mtaani, and I think many people know about Zoezi Mtaani because it just doesn't feature around Jericho and Harambee Ward. His aim, he's called Sila. His aim is to talk about drug abuse and alcoholism and inspire people, and especially looking at it from a fitness and health angle. So that's what we have used as our platform to communicate about drug abuse and alcoholism and show people that you can use that to overcome some of those temptations that we have.
Okay. I'd love you to talk about the level of support that you receive from the community. How have your efforts been received so far with regard to inspiring the next crop of trailblazers?
Okay. Like I said, we are creating a platform, and we are hoping it's going to grow. The platform is going to grow. We work, like these programs, like the Zoezi Mtaani, we take it back to the community. When we are having a medical camp, we take it to the nearest health center and have the community enjoy it. So we are trying to work with the community to run these programs, creating even a platform like now the Jericho Hall of Fame is about inspiration. So we hope going ahead, that will take it further, where it will be used as a mentorship program, where we are going to get to talk to the youth and school-going children, even the very young ones, in their schools, in the groups that they have, just interacting with them to show, using these trailblazers and the Mtaa achievers to come back and talk to these people and work with them and use our resources that we have. They might not be much, but seeing what programs then we can run in the neighborhood.
Now, let's talk about the Hall of Fame. What does it take to be inducted into that Hall of Fame? Because you can be nominated, but being inducted, those are two different things.
We actually have a criteria of, like I said, we call on nominations from the community through WhatsApp group, through social media. We then have a steering committee that is works. This is the second edition that we have that puts together the event. But also we have a subcommittee from that steering group that deals with just the recognition element, which they collect the nominees, shortlist, but we have gone further and gotten adjudicators, independent adjudicators, who are going to look at the nominees. And when you're being nominated, there has to be a comprehensive citation. We definitely are in the teething stages. Our citations might not be standard, so it's how I will view you. That's how I'll write your story. The next person, the next nominee will be given a different citation, and very few contribute, maybe just for clarification, very few contribute to their citations. Which means it's how people see you. That's what they are writing, the story they see, they know about you. What have you done? How am I nominating you? So then those go to the independent adjudicators, and they'll sit. I don't know whether they have sat, but I know on the 27th we are expecting names of the people they will select. This year we have 18. Last year I think we had 12. So we hope this year they'll come up with a name or two or 5. Never know, maybe the 18. Yeah.
So, and once you are inducted, it comes with the responsibility of giving back to the community?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But there are some who are posthumous. So then the family, of course, we expect that they'll help us in participating in the community.
Because it's about giving back to the community?
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, I'd love to hear your views on how community-based organizations can contribute positively and inspire people or the generation and enhance them and enhance their life.
I think it's what can I say? Wow, it's a tough question. By just starting where you are at. Where would you want your community? How would you want your community to look like? Is what I can say. Definitely, when we grew up in our neighborhood, we knew that as our community. We did whatever we could to make it a better place to live in, and I think that is how most people need to also just come back and see, okay, this place is not how I would have wanted it to be. So what else can I do? And it brought me up. It's more of a village thing. The village that
it takes a village
to raise up a child. So you were brought up and you achieved in this village. So what else can you come back and do in that village to make it even a better place, to inspire more people to achieve and to inspire more people to trailblaze, to be achievers.
Yes, the idea of being in touch.
Yes.
Don't go there, make it, and then forget about where you come from.
You have to come back.
So, like forming a CBS, like bringing them together so that they can have a collective responsibility where they can impact people positively.
Yes, and that's why I called it a platform.
Yes.
Because then individually you might not be able to do it.
To do much.
I might want to come back and give back to the community as Catherine, but I'm limited. But when you're together, the spirit of Harambee, you can do more.
Yes, that's true. Now, of course, in your efforts, you're looking to especially inspire the younger people. Now, how has it been dealing with them, given they have diverse needs and they like diverse things? How has the experience been so far?
Okay, maybe I can even just go back and say, first of all, the CBO, for you to be a member, you have to be over 35, because then under 35s are really served by the government, the communities. They have platforms to whatever. But for us, we thought, even for us to have some impact, you have to have people who are a bit mature for you to command some respect. The CBO is not just about people who grew up there and left. It also has members who are still living there, the residents themselves who are living there. So even when we sit around the table, we are discussing about real issues that also affect those people who are in the CBO because they are members. So we talk about member A lives in Jericho. So he'll tell us about their challenges, and then we'll see how we can address the challenges as the CBO together. So we are not just bringing what we think should be, they are also telling us what they need, their needs. So we have some kind of, we address the needs of the community real time. So we work with them, we work with the youth. We also expect, we have people like Musila who are very good at mobilizing the community. So he'll go mobilize them, tell them this is what the CBO is doing, would like you to participate in ABCD. Like even in the Hall of Fame, we are expecting them to play a role as the youth, and even the children, the school-going children in that community, they'll also be playing a simple role. Yeah.
Now, of course, bringing people who have impacted the community back to where they came from means that they will interact with the people who are already living there. Are there initiatives that you have that the young generation can network with the already established trailblazers that you have recognized?
Not yet, because we are in discussion with having, like I said, mentorship programs with the school, and we hope to invite, once we have the structures to run the mentorship programs, we want to involve the schools that are around, the schools being Rabai Road, Jericho, we have Harambe, which are the county schools. So we are hoping to start those programs. We actually don't have them, but they are in our strategy. We actually work, like I said, we are very well constituted. We even have a strategic plan. So we are currently designing and working on how to come up with those programs.
Yes. Now, involvement with the local groups of people within the community is important, and it has impacted on the objective of inspiring and empowering the next crop of generation. What do you look forward to in having to achieve? Like, what is your major, what is that one thing that you look forward to in as far as inspiring the next crop of generation trailblazers is concerned?
We can actually stand out and say we have a very large group of trailblazers who have come from Muta, and we want, even in another 20 years, to have a bigger number, maybe 3 times, through inspiring them, talking to them, trying to address the challenges that we have in the community, things like drug abuse and alcoholism, lack of jobs, which is a big challenge, not just in the Mta. We'd like to address that idleness. What can we do as that neighborhood to make money, to not even just look for jobs? Yes, I went to school, or I have gone to school, but what else can I do to make myself better and to earn a living and to excel? So we need to get to the place where what are the resources that we have on the ground that we can actually use to support our youth?
Yes.
Yeah, and our community.
Yes. I'd love to hear your views on how community-based organizations can take advantage of technology to reach more people and inspire the next generation.
Everybody has a smartphone. I mean, most of us have a smartphone. Katululus, like they are being called, quite few. Nowadays, there are cheap phones that are smartphones, up to even 5,000. You'll get a good phone.
Yes.
Where people, they can have Facebook, they can have WhatsApp. They actually would be on social media. They are on Instagram. So we intend to use those platforms to communicate to our youth. And we also have there is one very big platform called Jericho in My Heart. It's a Facebook page where people post many things, what is going on in Jericho. So those people get updated on those forums. So we hope to continue using them and to use them more, if we are not using them at all, to use them more to communicate to the youth and to inspire them, to mentor them, to show them and to have discussions with them on how we can make our lives better, our mtaa better.
Your parting shot as we close. Inspire someone.
We have a slogan. It's called Mtaa Bora ni mimi na wewe for the CBO. And so it's, yes, we need to come together to make the mtaa better. And for me is to invite you. I don't know whether you've been to the mtaa. I don't know whether you know about Eastlands. Maybe you can just tell me whether you know Eastlands.
I know Donholm.
That's a very small part of Eastlands. So yes, karibuni.
Yes.
Would like we have our event on the 27th of January, this coming Saturday. We want to invite as many people as they can, and even KBC to come capture the event.
Yes.
See what we do.
Yes.
Yes.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
And continue inspiring the next generation of trailblazers.
Thank you.
Your efforts are much appreciated. We have been talking to Catherine Waweru, who is the chairperson of Wase Wazamu, which is a community-based organization in Harambee Ward. That is Jericho?
Yes, Harambee Ward, not just Jericho, okay. Buruburu.
Buruburu. Okay, this has been Women at the Forefront. Good Morning Kenya takes a short break. My name is Mike Megwe.
In this green vegetation in Kianjai village, Tigania West sub-county within Meru County, we meet Nana Kilemi on her way to the farm to fend for her family. From far or near, one can see Nana as a healthy woman who is undertaking her daily duties, but it is until we closely interact with her that she narrates her struggle with breast cancer.
Imekuwa a very tough journey, ina changamoto sana. Kifedha inaharibu mtu mawazo kidogo, ni kama inakata maisha yako kidogo, inaenda na part of your life.
The single mother of 2 boys and the founder of the Needy Cancer Health Initiative reveals that after visiting an oncologist is when she was shocked with the diagnostic results of her health status.
Venye aliweza kueleza hapo, sasa unajua Nana uko na lamp 3 hata si moja, lymph nodes zimeguzwa, na hata kama uko na kansa inapona. Of course I was really affected.
The situation exacted significant strain on her and her family.
Kitu iliniudhi sana na nilikasirika sana. Mungu nikamwambia sasa surely Nana ni kila kitu. Mashinda kazi, sina pesa, hakuna, familia ndio hii. Lakini nikasema tu ni sawa.
She opted for treatment.
Mimi nikasema wacha mimi nataka kufanyiwa treatment hapa kwa sababu ninaamini daktari wetu. Kwanza ilikuwa kutolewa matiti. Hii matiti yangu ya right imetolewa na zile lymph nodes.
Her main concern is the high cost of cancer treatment.
Serikali yetu kama inaweza kupunguza bei ya zile madawa za saratani, kwa sababu hiyo madawa ina bei mzito sana na watu wetu wanafinyiliwa sana.
She wants Kenyans to embrace those diagnosed with cancer, noting that most of them are stigmatized.
Daktari ndio expert. Tafadhali watu waache kusikiza maneno ya watu huko nje, kwa sababu wale hiyo ni quack, ama hizo ni talks tu, ni gossip. Ugonjwa wa saratani si death sentence, si kifo.
Nana says she founded the Needy Cancer Health Initiative to finance medical attention for needy cancer patients.
We are fully registered, fully compliant. Tunasaidia watu, tunalipia NHIF mwaka kwa sababu NHIF inapatia a very good package to the cancer patient.
welcome back, and I am glad that you are still with us right here on Good Morning Kenya. Now, right now, we want to get into our next discussion, and our topic of discussion is productivity in the workplace. We are going to be looking at ways to enhance productivity in the workplace, and joining me just to tell us more about this conversation is Dr. Selina Ambe. She is a strategic management and HR consultant with over 30 years of experience, having worked in both the private sector and in government, and she is also an author as well. Dr. Selina, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm well, thank you.
If we can go directly into you defining for us what productivity in the workplace means.
Productivity, just to define it before I delve deep into it, is it's the result of performance, you know, the output. When you bring people on board, you expect them to perform, and you are looking at the outcome. The private sector would be looking at profit, whilst the government would be looking at service delivery. That is the productivity part of the government. Efficient and effective service delivery for its citizenry. Yes.
And how do you show productivity in the workplace?
Well, productivity can manifest itself in various ways, but it's up to the employer to play his or her part. For example, you have to, when you are recruiting, you have to put the right people in place, having right skills and experience. And even if they don't have experience, you will have to train and develop them. Now, once you do that, you have to ensure that their workspace or work environment is conducive for them to perform. Because an employee feels more comfortable performing when the environment is conducive. For example, having the right tools, computers, photocopiers, telephones, and ergonomics. That means the chairs and tables and things like that, as well as having just the right temperature and lighting in the room where they are operating. Yes.
That's what you've talked about, is the role of the employer in enhancing productivity. What of the employee? What is the role of an employee in enhancing productivity in the workplace?
Now, the employee will perform, but the employer actually holds the bigger part in that they have to provide the tools, as I said, and just to capture what the employee needs, the employer will have to run what we call employee satisfaction surveys. These are very, very important, because through these surveys, the employer will be able to get the gray areas, which the employee is not, being able to tell him, freely, because sometimes they fear talking to the boss. But when the boss brings in an independent researcher to carry out a survey, the employees are able to put everything inside, the structured questionnaire, or sometimes one would do what we call one-on-one interviews. So when you do a report, giving back the employer whatever you have been able to, the findings, you don't give names of who said what, because then employees feel threatened that if my employer knows this is what I'm saying, and maybe it's not very good on his part, I may lose my job. So you just do a report that is a blanket report. And that way, the employer will be able to find out if this employee needs to have a training needs assessment done and the right training given to him or her. And that will go a long way in ensuring that the employee performs. And also another area where an employee needs to be clear is to know what they're supposed to do by getting the job description. Yes.
All right, and on that note, we'll take a break, but we'll be back in a moment.
to access KBC Online services via eCitizen. Step 1. On your web browser, search kbc.ecitizen.go.ke. Step 2. Log in using your eCitizen account or create a new eCitizen account and log in. Step 3. Enter your OTP, which will be sent to you via SMS or email. Step 4. Select Matangazo service. Step 5. Read the service instructions. Step 6. Enter your general details. Step 7. Enter your service details and click complete. Step 8. Submit your application and await feedback from eCitizen. Step 9. Click on pay and your payment will be made automatically via M-Pesa and your service will be delivered. Step 10. You will then receive an invoice to confirm your payment. For any assistance, reach us on email ecitizen@kbc.co.ke. Telephone number +254 20 22 41 896.
And if you're there and you have a child, possibly who didn't perform as they ought to have performed, both KCP and KCSE, where I sit as a pastor, I think I had to counsel a few people just to tell them this is not the end of life.
I think it's very important for the parent to try and understand the exact reasons why the child says they do not want the schools. Some reasons may be genuine. Apart from the grades, there are so many other things that you need to work on for you to be able to achieve your full potential in life.
A is not the beginning of life, neither is an E the end of life. Life is an open book and life is dictated by many factors other than grades.
Welcome back, and we get to continue with our conversation that is productivity in the workplace. And Dr. Selina, we've talked about what productivity is and how that looks like, as well as how the employer and employee, the role they have to play in enhancing productivity. What is the importance or benefits? What are the benefits that come out of, a place of work where, the productivity is high?
Well, the benefits are obvious in that an employer gets a satisfied employee. Mm-hmm. And because of that, the employee will be able to perform better, and this employer will get profit if it's in the private sector. Mm-hmm. In the government, the department or ministry will get employees who are happy to serve the general public. Mm-hmm. with one heart. Mm-hmm. Because they're happy about their employment, they're happy about their jobs, mm-hmm. because they understand what they're supposed to do, and their employer treats them fairly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And can doing the same thing day in, day out, this month, next month, year in, year out, interfere with productivity?
I don't think so. Once you get your job description done, mm-hmm. there is so much that goes around an office or an organization. And the employer would also be able to engage his or her employees, mm-hmm. in team building activities, mm-hmm. and wellness. in that you're just not sitting in an office from 8 to 5. You are able to go out there in the field and bond. I mean, employees could bond through football or netball or, you know, tug of war. Tug of war. They can go away from the office, maybe take a retreat away from the office, maybe to a different town. For example, I have conducted retreats for ministries and state departments in Mombasa from Nairobi, you know, and we have been gone for 3 days, and it's really fulfilling because you wake up in the morning and you go for activities along the beach, you come back, you have breakfast, and then there is a little bit of presentation during the morning. In the afternoon, you get people going to swim, some go to do other activities, and then they're just those bonding activities. And you find even people who didn't know each other, they even become friends. You know, the interpersonal skills are enhanced. Yeah.
And how does performance maybe relate to productivity when it comes to government?
Well, government of Kenya has a very specific guideline towards productivity. It is called the performance contracting, tool, whereby different ministries will set their targets. Actually, it's the president signs the PC with the cabinet secretaries. And then cabinet secretaries would sign with principal secretaries. And then it goes down the line. Principal secretaries would sign with the departmental heads. And for state corporations, you find the chairman signing with the CEO and the CEO signing with the department. So when they do that, they're actually setting targets. And government, what it does is, they have people who would come in and help the different ministries to set their targets using the strategic plan of the present government now, Kenya Kwanza manifesto and Vision 2030. We have sustainable development goals. They have to look at all that. And government actually calls the strategic plan MTP, which is medium-term plan. Because the longer term is the Vision 2030. So they have to consider all these documents when they are setting the targets, and the targets must be achievable. In that, they look at the budget that has been provided, and they also look at the mandate of each ministry. What is the ministry supposed to be doing? What are the urgent projects that need to be, looked at? So when the setting of the targets are done, there is now, it's actually done through negotiation. And then there is the vetting period, whereby they look at the guidelines again to see that these targets are aligned to the strategies within that ministry. And then implementation starts, and then there is an evaluation phase, and then there is a reporting whereby reports are drawn. And this is the time that you find the evaluators have to find out if the ministries reached the targets, and if they didn't, what was the problem. In the private sector, they will look at the bigger picture in that, because they look at profit. So they want, and they would actually use the marketing tool than any other tool, so that their marketeers go out there and sell the company, and just put everything in place, including the risk, the risk aspect of it. Monitoring and evaluation, that too happens in government. They have to look at the aspect of risk and the aspect of monitoring and evaluation, because they have to monitor activities. So at the end of it, they see the outcome, which is productivity. Was it efficient? Did it hit the target? Or did it go the other way? And if it did go the other way, then they have to find solutions to, through emerging issues. Because the environment that we operate in is not static. Politically, socially, culturally, technologically, things change. Yeah, so you find that a review has to be done all the time, maybe half yearly.
Yeah.
A review must be done just to see that things are moving, and whatever has changed is incorporated, is embraced, so that things continue in the way they hope they would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of those reviews, just to check if you're still
on track.
If
Yes.
you're still on your plan, if
Yes.
you're still following up on whatever it is that you had set as your target.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. And how do we maintain productivity? Because now we've looked at ways to be productive and enhancing it, but how do you maintain productivity?
Productivity by employees can be maintained, as I mentioned, through activities like team building, where you just also show your employees that you care, you train them, you deal with matters of conflict management, because in any situation, whether at home, in the office, on the road, there is always conflict. So conflict must be managed. And conflict actually can be managed by using the same tool of team building. When you take your employees away, you want their feedback. You can give them rolls of paper for each one of them to write what their issues are. And then you just put them together. Before they go away, maybe it's 2 or 3 days, you can just let them know what the issues are, and then you incorporate those issues in the report that you're going to do, because you just don't do team building and then people go. There must be a report done, and this report is the one that will be used by the employer to look at certain issues, if they should deal with them immediately, or the ones that are more urgent, they deal with them. And that way, productivity can be enhanced. And as I said before, also, the conducting surveys have to be done from time to time. You just don't do it once. You can do the first one like this year, and then after a year or two, you do what we call implementation. You are implementing the recommendations that were given by the researcher. And then maybe after another 2 years or so, you do the exit, which will bring out emerging issues. So it is actually a cycle. Yeah, it is a cycle. Yeah. You'll just go back to the baseline. The first survey is called baseline survey. Yeah. Yeah.
So you just go back to the
Yeah,
basics.
you go back to after 6 years, you have to do a baseline. And this survey should always include work environment. Your employee must be satisfied with their work environment. Yes. They must be satisfied with the way, attitude of the supervisor, communication. Have you given them tools to communicate, either through email or telephone?
Yeah.
If they have their own phones, are you giving them airtime? Yeah, so if you do all these things, surely the employee will be satisfied. And of course, you look at the package. Yeah, you look at the package. I know money is not a motivator, because even people earning a lot of money may not be satisfied, but ensure that your employee is getting a salary that she or he can live in, pay rent, commute to work, be able to eat, dress up. Because you don't want an employee walking in tatters. Now, you want to look at an employee who looks smart. Yeah, it may not be going for expensive clothes, but let them look smart, and the employer can help. In fact, some companies do give what we call dress,
allowances.
Yeah, they give dress allowance. Yeah, and you also ensure, if you want your employees to bond, you have a cafeteria. If you can, you have a cafeteria within your buildings, so that they don't have to go out, and the food should be wholesome food. When they eat, they feel good. You can also think of having a clinic whereby a doctor could visit from time to time, and you have a permanent nurse on call, because there are always issues with health. Yeah, but when employees know that they can run to the clinic, be treated, they'll be back in the office, rather than somebody taking a whole day off, and then the following day they don't turn up because they had gone to see a doctor. Yeah.
All right. Do more working hours equate to productivity?
I don't think so. You just have to be smart and work with the job description. and the targets. You don't have to put in a lot of hours. In fact, a lot of people these days from COVID-19, people work from home. And you find actually people do a lot. I mean, they're in their pajamas, but they're working. And you find what they've done from home is much more than when they're sitting, at their desk in the office. So I don't think putting in, because when you put in a lot of work, employees get burnt out. Somebody gets tired. You just have to be smart, get the tasks done within, the time available, and let the employees go at 5 if they have to leave at 5. Don't tie them there, sitting there up to 8 o'clock. Some of them have families, and they have to sit there working. They can work from home if you provide them with the equipment, maybe computers. They'll continue. If it's a report, they'll continue doing it at home, and maybe send it if you wanted it that particular day. They'll send it, through email.
So working long hours, that doesn't really mean
that
someone is being productive.
No, it doesn't mean one is going to be productive. Because even health-wise, if you just work, the last few hours will not be productive because you're tired in mind, in body, and even your emotions. You get angry, you have to feel upbeat about your work. Get off your desk after an hour or so, walk about, get out, just go around the building, come back, and you find somebody is okay. But you cannot say that working for long hours is going to make one productive. No.
There's a statement that the younger people nowadays run by, and they say that we no longer work hard, we work smart. What is your take on that?
I don't know how to answer that question because, I just think, as I say to you, whether one is young or old, so long as you know what your call is, you know what your job description is, they leave it to you because there is something called an appraisal tool. It will come along, and what you signed as a target is going to be facing you. So your supervisor is going to be asking you, did you do what we agreed you're going to do by this time? So if you haven't done it and you don't have a good reason, actually you face being fired if you don't have a good reason. And that is why I think assessment and evaluation should not wait for 1 year. It should be an ongoing process. So when you have it as an ongoing process, then you don't have this thing coming up that, I didn't reach my target, because you'll be able to see it along the way and point this employee into the right direction, that I think you are not doing the right thing, please go this way, without really confrontation or causing any conflicts. But if you wait until the end of the year, so much would have gone wrong, and the company or the organization or institution cannot, recover what is lost. So it's, and that is why even the government knows it does the review every 6 months. The PC, the performance contracting, they don't wait until the end of the year because they want to ensure that the targets that have been set are on track. And if it is anything to do with budget, they would pump in more money towards those activities.
Now, conflicts in the workplace may hinder productivity, as we all know. So how does one manage, or how to go about managing conflict in an institution where you have employees?
Well, as I said, one thing you do is you try to bond your employees so that they don't step on each other's toes. And job description is a very important tool, because once one knows what they're supposed to do, one is not going to be dipping, their hands in somebody else's space, because that is one area that causes a lot of conflict. And communication is very key, in that you ensure that whatever is communicated is understood, because a lot of people will communicate information and they don't ask whether people have understood what they're saying. So putting everything on paper is the best way of communication, so that if one has any doubts, they can ask, I didn't understand this paragraph, what does it mean? But when you communicate by word of mouth, then it has issues, because people understand information from one person to the other differently. And then we have something called grapevine, which should not be entertained, whereby you get people, I think it's called backbiting, people going in hush voices, talking, and then you find by the time it reaches the person below, the information is completely distorted. So what I would urge people or employers to do is to disregard something called the grapevine. They must put everything on paper, everything they want their employees to. We have policies. Yeah, when you employ people, you have the strategic plan, and then you must have a handbook that gives rules and regulations of the organization. So once you do that, I don't think there should be much conflict, because people understand how you want this organization to function and what their roles and responsibilities are. So when you have these little hitches, it's easier to deal with. Yeah.
And how do you generally ensure that the environment at the workplace is conducive, and who is in charge of ensuring that the environment is conducive?
Well, that's why we have different departments. HR department, procurement, finance department, administration. The department head is in charge of that department. And I think the best way is every week they should hold a meeting on a Monday or maybe a Friday when they're closing the week, to see what issues have cropped up during the week and what needs to be done during the following week. And because, we are human beings and people tend to conflict, But this can be dealt with through the areas I have mentioned: stress management, providing proper tools, training needs. You carry out a survey so that employees can, maybe somebody wants to change a department. They say, okay, I need to be trained in this area because I'm tired of working in this area. So mobility is a very key tool, moving people from one department to another. Yeah.
I want us to look at promotions.
Yes.
Would you say that promotions may enhance productivity, and also the opposite of it being true?
Well, both I think are true, because there are actually some people who are afraid of promotion, or some people, they enjoy what they're doing so much that they feel when they go up the ladder, they may not do what they're doing, or they may not be in contact with other employees as much as they are. So before somebody is given that promotion, I think it's good to sit them down and just let them know what benefits that promotion has. Some would even request to be given that increase, but they remain in the same position.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
There are such cases?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think if one wants to grow, I think it's good to take that promotion so that you can one day reach the top, be a CEO or a head of a department. Because if you don't get promoted, obviously, you're not going to reach there. Yeah, but as I said, there are people who don't want to be promoted. Yeah, they would rather be where they are because they're happier there. And so you just let them, or if you feel that there is something they're hiding, you have to get it out.
And would that not bring in maybe some conflict, because maybe you were supposed to be promoted to go to a different level, so that there's someone else who's beneath you to come up where you, if you want to, when you decide to
in some
stay there.
instances, what I've seen, those who are difficult and they don't want to be promoted, they're given the option to resign. If they don't want, because as you rightly say, they're hindering the promotion of the next person. Yeah, so it's a tricky kind of situation. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the responsibility of each employee in an institution or in a place of work to ensure that there is productivity in the workplace?
Well, when you're given that contract, you sign it. When you are brought on board, you actually know what your roles and responsibilities are, and you promise your employer this is what I'm going to do, and the employer says, this is what I'm going to pay you at the end of the month. So it's actually a contract, and you have to live up to it. You have to live up to it, but at the same time, we have what we call interpersonal skills. It's like a family. It's a larger family from your family at home. Employment, actually, you meet a lot of people. You become one of them. You get into their culture, the way they do things. And you even find there are people who don't want to look for a job elsewhere because they feel awkward just going to start all over again in a new company. But as I said again, if you want to grow, you have to move. And if there are no opportunities in your present place of work, then you just continue looking until you get something. Yeah.
If there's one thing you've really applauded is teamwork, that is team building, you know, getting that rest and allowing people to go and just get to interact with each other. Maybe how often should that be happening for it to be termed as healthy?
Depending on the scope or the number of employees an organization or institution has, you may find it's difficult to do it all at once. So you may want to do it department by department because you want to bring everybody aboard, whether it's a messenger, a driver, a secretary, you know, a clerk or the departmental director. You want to take everybody, but each time the CEO will have to accompany them because he has to capture. It is through this team building that the employees will be able to know the CEO better. So if you have an organization with 200 people, you could have 4 team building activities within that 1 year. And then when you come to the following year, you start again. So it's an ongoing activity. And you'll find companies or organizations or institutions that embrace team building, they do very well. They do very well because you find employees are actually, they call that organization home. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'll allow you to give us your parting shot.
Well, my parting shot is that as employers, you have to recognize that your employees have needs. And when you bring them on board, kindly train and develop them. Let them be part of that organization. Deal with issues of conflict management, team building, stress management, and just let this employee be part of the organization. And for the employee, I would like to urge them to know that this employer is giving them a chance because not everybody is lucky enough to get employed. So once they sign the contract, they should be able to live up to what they have promised and signed in the contract, and not just be watching the clock that I want to run home. They should be able to, if they know they are running home at 5, but are able to carry home the work, then that is fine. But I know you asked me earlier if working long hours is good, but there are those instances where you find maybe there is a meeting or a conference coming, and there are certain things that have not been completed. So in such instances, which are rare, but they do exist, people may have to work longer hours, or some even, they don't come back home because they have to ensure that everything is in place for the conference that is coming. But the day-to-day operation, let people stick to the working hours, because when you sign a contract, you're told you're going to be working from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, and then with a break for lunch. It's important for an employee to walk away from that desk and go and have lunch or do something different, and then come back and continue. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, and thank you so much for chipping into this particular conversation and just giving us more information on what productivity in the workplace is.
And thank you for having me this morning.
All right, and this is where we call it a wrap right here on Good Morning Kenya. That was Dr. Selina Ambe. She is a strategic management and HR consultant who has worked in both the private sector and in government. My name is Vivian Dagwa. Until next time, good morning.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is one thing we can always count on: the power of compassion and generosity. Every day, families in Kenya face unimaginable challenges and hardships. They struggle to put food on the table, provide shelter for their loved ones, and access basic health care. But today, you have the power to make a difference. By just contributing 1 shilling and 50 cents from your airtime, your generosity can provide access to sanitary pads, nutritious food, clean water, education, and life-saving medical care to those who need it most. To support this cause, please tune in to your favorite radio station under the KBC umbrella for step-by-step instructions on how to subscribe. KBC Helping Hands. Together, we can make a difference and bring hope to those in need.
Nancy Nakeny. She's an aspiring model and student who has lived here for 7 years and wants to be a voice for her community. So surely, who better than her to show us around?
My name is Nancy Nakeny. I'm a student and a model, and this is my town, Kakuma.
We're in Kakuma, a small town in Kenya's very remote and arid north. The tiny market town lies in the homeland of the pastoralist Turkana community. But in the last 30 years, it has become to around 200,000 refugees living in the settlements of Kakuma and Kalobeye. The harsh climate and scarcity of resources like water and food make Kakuma no easy place to live for both locals and refugees. With people from places like South Sudan, Somalia and DRC, Kakuma is a mix of peoples, each with their own markets and communities.
This is one of the main markets in Kakuma, and this is where you can get any of the African prints, and also the others that you can get veggies, or maybe if you want your grocery for your house.
With new people arriving each week, Kakuma is a place in motion. Run by the Kenyan government together with the UN, the camps have become a long-term home for many. Once registered here, most refugees live within the camp and town boundaries, only traveling to other parts of Kenya if they get special travel permits. Nancy lived here as a refugee for 7 years. At the age of 18, she and her 2 younger sisters were separated from their mother and fled their home in South Sudan. Her life changed dramatically. She grew up fast.
Back then, I used to have someone who is telling me, do this, do that. But now here, it's me who is doing the opposite. I'm self-driven, and I'm done now telling my siblings to do this and do that. These are bad, this is good. So you should follow this path instead of the other.
Like many young refugees here, her life as she knew it was put on hold. Before the war broke out, Nancy had almost completed high school. But here in Kenya, her grades weren't accepted. She had to go all the way back to 6th grade to first get her Kenyan primary school certificate.
I stayed 2 years home because I saw it was ridiculous. Like, it was bad for me to restart from primary, and yet I was already in high school, almost finishing my high school. So it's been a tough journey. This is my school, Brightstar Integrated Secondary School, and we host both the refugees and the host community here. We are preparing for Kenya National Examination. It's a final year for us, the Form 4s, and it's a certificate that determines whether you'll join college or university.
While good grades can be a gateway to a better future, the one thing that Nancy has learned here in Kakuma is to be resilient and speak out for herself and others. Taking part in local beauty pageants and representing her community has given her this platform.
It helps me be a role model to young girls out there. There are women out there who still have, they're still under the cultural practices where they say women are dominated. They don't have the voice to speak out for themselves.
Holding the ball low is not an option for Nancy. She has to be a role model to her siblings and stands out, whether it's through modeling or as one of the only women on the basketball court. This is where she spends her evenings playing with both Kenyans and other refugees.
Thank you for letting me show you around. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Most refugees here dream of lives elsewhere. Maybe through luck or hard work, they could get a chance to go abroad. It's happened before, and so the youths of Kakuma and Kaloboye keep the ball moving.
So we've just heard from Kakuma Sound, and here with me is Felicia. I hope I'm saying your name right.
Yes.
All right, and you're the chairman of Kakuma Sound, who we've just been listening to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me a little bit about the group and the instrument that you're playing.
This group is combined all nationalities, and we call ourselves Kakuma Sound Band. Yeah.
How many nationalities are represented here?
So we are over 6 nationalities.
Over 6 nationalities.
Exactly.
I'm seeing here Republic Democratic of Congo.
Exactly.
Wakongolese wangapi hapa? Ah, nice. And you're from
Burundi.
Burundi, so more Burundians in the house?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So how did you come up with the idea of forming the group here at the refugee camp?
You know, because we are coming from a different nationalities, there were no interaction. Some of us, we don't know their culture. So now we are coming with the idea how we can just unite ourselves through the band, so that we can now know each other and interact with one another, and we can know everybody's culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when I walked in here and looking at your face now, you all look so joyful. You know, is that what this music does for you, or why do you do it?
Yeah, this music made me just to be very, very happy, because now I'm enjoying DRC Congo's music. So when I'm playing this Adungu, now I'm enjoying to play Congolese music and South Sudanese music.
A lot of people are fighting because of one reason or the other. And what do you think Kakuma can teach people about living harmoniously together despite your differences?
You know, what Kakuma Sound Band can teach other people in the world is just when you don't know somebody's culture. This is made misunderstanding. Some people, they are just misunderstanding because they don't know each other.
Yeah.
Now, because of now we are living together and we are playing music together, now we are adapting their character. I know now their character. They know my culture. That's why now we are living in the harmony way and the peace.
Yeah.